very much, Frank. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dutch StarCraft League Open 2015. My name is Wyman. I'm with Wardy. Wardy, how are you doing, man?
I'm fantastic, man. It's awesome to be here. A live event for first time ever.
Awesome.
Really.
Yeah, you traveled all the way from the UK here, had to get an
Yeah.
early flight here to to catch this event and be one of the casters here. Really appreciate that you came over all the way here. I heard you. Yeah, this is your first live event casting as well, so I really, I hope you're going to do well. I'm pretty sure you will. I have a lot of confidence in you. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, it's all very exciting though.
Well, it's exciting for us, but what about these players, man? Some of these players you see here are some of the top in Europe. Liquid Red, uThermal. Both of these players are so good at their respective races. uThermal recently managed to qualify for IM Shenzhen by going through a sick run in the qualifier bracket, beating players like Harstem, Snoot, Lilbo, a fourth one which I can't name. Bunny, exactly. So he beat one of every race, one of the top EU players. So he's definitely one of the greatest contenders here at this event. At the same time, we have Red, who managed to qualify twice for a Canadian event. He's going to the round of 16 for WCS, and he will also be going to the Base Trade TV tournament, which is hosted there.
Yeah, he's been playing really well lately. He's been just getting better and better. In the round of 32 of WCS, he looked pretty fantastic. So, I mean, obviously, I think Red and uThermal will have to be the favourites today, but the other players we have here today could cause some upsets as well.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely believe in the players we see here today. Players like Namshar or even our sitting who plays Goody, Optimus. I really think these are players that have all of the capabilities they need in order to win a tournament like this, or at the very least make an upset, like beating a player like uThermal or Red. One of the Zerg players. uThermal, he said it quite a few times that he doesn't like playing Zerg versus Zerg. So, those could be in for some surprises.
Yeah, and in his group as well, he has Jona and Namshar, right? So he really is going to have to be confident if he wants to make it through. He's probably going to have to beat a Zerg player if he wants to make it through. He could maybe get StrinterN twice and beat StrinterN twice, but he doesn't want to rely on the kind of bracket look at all here. So he's going to have to make sure he's confident in himself. And
yeah, I think confidence is one of the most determined factors that determines the success of a player, especially at a live event where it's just so incredibly important that you keep your head on straight, you don't start doing strange things, and you just keep focused on playing the game and doing the things you have to do in order to win against your opponent, because you are up against some of the most strong opponents here we have in Europe. So any mistake can be game breaking.
The thing is that uThermal and Red probably have a lot more experience than other players as well. So it's really, that's really going to play into it as well. I mean, uThermal and Ret are kind of DSCL champions, right?
Yeah.
Ret won the Invitational earlier this year.
Yeah, he was dominating there.
And uThermal won the Open last year, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, both of them have played in this sort of event before, and I mean, on bigger stages as well. And I mean, again, just a few days ago for both players, they're winning these qualifiers to travel off around the world, China, Canada. So they know what it's like to have pressure on their shoulders.
Yeah. Currently, I believe we're waiting for uThermal. It seemed to be very recently popped up tech issue that we're trying to fix as soon as possible. Might have to move his PC. Shouldn't be too big of an issue though. But let's talk about Jona for a second here, because at the last Invitational, you mentioned Red. He won that tournament, and he won it convincingly. Beating players like Harstem, and I really feel it was Jona's tournament. Well, not necessarily his tournament to take, but he had a much better shot at it than he actually managed to perform, because he went out in the first day, didn't make it out of his group, and I believe he's in a much better shape than he was at that time.
Yeah, I think he's feeling okay. I think he said he hasn't had a chance to play as much as he would have liked, but yeah, I think he's feeling better than he did back then.
All right. Just wanted to confirm we have a small tech issue on the side of uThermal. Things like this at a live event, they can always happen. You never know when the PC suddenly decides to blue screen, so we're just going to have to wait and see for that and get that fixed as soon as possible. To me, that's really something that's always part of the live event, because you have a million things on your hands when you're hosting an event as an organization that you cannot control, and at some point something might go wrong, and then you're just kind of sitting there waiting a bit dead in the water. Like I think the best example of that is what we saw this morning when we had Frank up there with a freaking crowbar trying to bash in the lock of the door, and successfully so after some effort.
I have to say it was quite the introduction to the DSCL.
Yeah.
Walk in, we're just breaking through the door because that's where everything is, and we can't get into it.
They needed a bit of Shia LaBeouf encouragement, do it, but to just to break open that door. And I hope we're going to see some video maybe on stream later of that, because it was quite a comic sight. Like, it's a small wooden door, but it took them like 10 minutes at least to break through it.
I mean, if I ever want to keep something safe, I'm getting a door like that.
Yeah, we need armor. This is value door.
I mean, they were whacking it with a crowbar, man. Like, they were not giving anything away.
Oh, man. Yeah, so here at the DSCL, we once again have things going in a very interesting way. Of course, Wardy here is not the only caster. We also have Loco. He's a, I'd say, very well-established Dutch caster, player, streamer from the Netherlands here, who I hope has quite a following, and we'll hope to see some of his followers in the chat. It's kind of waving at us here from the audience. might get him on screen here maybe in a second. Also, maybe one thing that we're gonna hopefully be noticing a lot here is that we have some really awesome sponsors. Here at the front, you can see our main sponsor, Coolmaster. And then one of the other sponsors we have right now who managed to step in at the last moment is MSI. And HyperX. Thank you, Frank. I was just getting to those. They are some of the major sponsors here of the Dutch StarCraft League. They have made it possible for us to get a location like this. They have made it possible for us to have gear, to have awesome seats like the one you see right here. Thank you to Coolmaster, HyperX, and MSI for being some of our main sponsors. Right now, I believe uThermal seems to be rejoining the lobby.
Yeah, it looks as though we're pretty much ready to go, I think, to go into the game. The players are ready, so we're finally going to get our first match of the day underway. It's going to be uThermal versus StrinterN in a TVP.
All right.
And excited to see how this is going to go.
I'm very excited to see. I spent the whole evening with StrinterN at my girlfriend's apartment. She had, she offered her apartment up graciously to these players for them to stay for the night and for tomorrow night. And you're going to be staying over as well, so you're going to know what it's going to be like. Trust me, it's very comfortable. We have plenty of sleeping bags. But yeah, guys, first game is going to be underway. It's going to be a TVP, uThermal versus StrinterN. Let's get into the game.
Yeah, we're going to be loading up onto Coda here, and that's not really much of a surprise as we get uThermal up on the screen right now.
Yep, we have uThermal in high contrast mode. Look, staring us down. He's going to be facing his opponent, the one and only StrinterN.
It's a pretty sick little introduction, isn't it?
Yeah, this is really fancy.
Quite unique.
And here we are. We have, in the bottom right of Coda, we have the purple term. Give it up for the AT Gaming's uThermal.
And up in the upper left-hand corner of the map, we do have from Carnegie Sports, it's StrinterN.
Now, honestly, I couldn't think of a better map to start it on. I think Coda is one of the best maps in the map pool right now. It's very neutral. It suits a lot of different styles. As a two-player map, you always kind of have to be, on the guard for, especially in a TVP, against any proxy shenanigans, because the Protoss, he knows where you are from the get-go, and you kind of have to watch out.
We see Coda pretty much in every best of 3 right now. Yeah. It's the go-to map. It's the overgrowth of this season's map pool, and we see it again pretty much every single best of 3. It's a map every player is pretty much comfortable on. It's a very standard map. That third base is very easy to take. The fourth base, you've got a couple of different options depending on how you want to play as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to be able to kind of mix things up and to play in different ways. And even though it's a 2-player map, you can sometimes see a little bit of proxy action over to the sides of or the corners of the map as well. So again,
yeah, those kinds of shenanigans are always really fun to watch. So looking at these two players, uThermal so far is pretty much, I think, going to go for a Reaper opener, maybe into Widow Mind Drop. We'll have to see on later. But I think from uThermal's perspective, he's in a comfortable position against a player like StrinterN. Like, he knows he should be able to beat a player like StrinterN if you just play solid, in a matchup like TVP. On the other side, though, we see a pretty interesting gateway placement. Like, I think this allows for a wall off to prevent Reapers from running past and doing, ring around the rosies inside the base, which is always very annoying to deal with as a Protoss when you only have a mothership core out.
Yeah, it really denies that scouting as well, which is going to be one of the main goals of the early game here for StrinterN. The less uThermal sees, the more he has to have in the back of his mind, the less he can, prepare for, definitely. So that Reaper is going to be very important, and again, StrinterN already beginning to deal with that wall off, as you were mentioning.
So far StrinterN has been putting all of his chrono boost into his Nexus, trying to get as many probes out as possible. He also hasn't taken a second gas, so this to us indicates that he's probably going to go for a quick expand. The question is, how quickly will uThermal be able to scout this, and how will he react? Will he somehow modify his build? But I don't think so. Like, he's getting a an early reactor on his barracks.
Yeah, this is pretty standard. You know, Reaper expand, you put that reactor down, the next 100 gas is going to go straight into that factory. He's probably going to start pumping out them Widow mines because, I mean, as a Terran player, why wouldn't he make Widow mines? They're pretty awesome.
I don't make Widow mines. Maybe that's just me though, but I don't tend to make Widow mines a lot. Yeah.
You would go up like 2 leagues, I promise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll try that next ladder game, because
good,
I played only one game before this. I just played it on ranked game on TV, and it was TVP. And you know, you're right. If I'd made mines, I probably would have won.
The best thing about mines is they can be prepared, and they can still kill like 10 workers.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Wow. It reminds me of oracles.
This is a really standard opening from both players so
Yeah.
far. The next thing we're really going to be seeing is the tech choice out of StrinterN, and you know, what is he really going to do with it? He's not putting any pylons out on the map. This is actually just straight up standard game from him. This Reaper's going to pop out for now. We see the Twilight Council coming in, and again, that's going to be what this Reaper wants to see here.
Yeah.
So, Blink opening, most likely. Could be that Dark Shrine, but
Could be. Yeah.
Blink, probably the way to go here, I feel.
Well, the good thing for uThermal is that he still has this Reaper out on the map. Usually when you play Terran and you still keep your Reaper alive, at around the 6-minute mark you will just suicide it in to try and just see everything that you possibly can, and maybe try to scout some very important tech. He noticed that there was a pylon in the back, but he didn't see anything building behind it. So he might try to like run his Reaper all the way back there and just see what he can find. Actually, uThermal, if you look at the production tab, is currently not making any mines. He's making Hellions.
He
so
is
this
indeed.
variation.
This is a bit of a different build. So this is he's going to look to drop some Hellions, and he might even make a couple of mines now to kind of combo with those Hellions, and there we do see them starting to come up in the production tab. So this is going to be kind of a bit of, it's still kind of a mine drop, but it's a little bit more aggressive because you're getting them couple of Hellions as well. Instead of reactoring out Marines, you're really relying on these Hellions and mines early on instead. So again, this is looking to do a lot of damage already, these first 2 Hellions moving in and looking to see if they can get damage done on this work.
There's a mothership core though, so it's going to start shooting at these Hellions, but StrinterN doesn't really react, only now just pops the photon overcharge. 4 probes have already died to this harass, so this was definitely already worth it for uThermal in terms of investment. But the question is, does he do enough damage with the follow-up?
I mean, with the photon overcharge already popped in the natural, it means that these mines, when they go down in the main base, are going to be a little bit, he's not going to kill them that quickly. And his robot facility is only just on the way up now, so I think we're going to see these mines in the mineral line before there's an observer out. So this is at least going to be 2 worker kills. Depends how well StrinterN does respond to this.
This is a very interesting dynamic we're seeing here, because keep in mind that there's still no stim, there's not a lot of bio on the way here for uThermal. He's going to be running in with this medevac now. He boosts it. Does he the stalks are completely out of position. Is the vision there? Yes. The probes, they run away in time. There's still one mine in the medevac though. Yeah, this one mine isn't going to do a lot of damage, but there's the second one though. Will he respond in time? Yes, he sees the medevac. He burrows just in. Okay, he's going to sacrifice a stalker.
I mean, losing a stalker, I think, is alright. I mean, it would have been better to just lose 1 probe, but I think that was good damage control. I mean, he dealt with it well. The Widowmine in the main base went off too. I'm not sure what exactly it killed, but I don't think it was too much. I mean, StrinterN was well aware that it was there. His blink has now finished, though, and I mean, he's not really going to be aggressive with this, though.
No, this is like a sort of a middle-of-the-road build that Prodasses tend to do. They get blink in the mid-game, but they don't really commit to a 2-base all-in or something along the lines. They just get a robo as a follow-up and just try to be safe against, well, for example, mine drops. And it seemed to have worked perfectly here for StrinterN, so he's in a very decent position. And uThermal, looking from his build, he's actually making a Reaper. I think that's a mistake. But 1 drop heading towards the left side of the base, he's going to be trying and ramping up the aggression even further.
This is going to be a little bit interesting because, I mean, Blink is out and there's a lot of Stalkers starting to build up here. It's a very defensive setup from StrinterN. Them Stalkers positioned in the middle of the main base, they can get anywhere very quickly. uThermal actually upgraded concussive shells, which is a bit of an interesting opening. And in this scenario, I really don't think it's going to do too much. I think there's just a few too many Stalkers. He's going to get this nice little position behind kind of all of these gateways.
You can snipe the pylon.
Yeah,
but still, once the Stalkers blink forward, they're going to focus the medevac and... oh, he doesn't even get the pylon. He gets 1 stalker, probably 2 stalkers with another shot, but I don't think that was quite worth the trade there for uThermal.
Yeah, losing the medevac's kind of the painful thing here, because the more medevacs you have going into the mid game, the more you can drop. You can just drop, all over the place. So being able to keep that medevac count early really helps you out as you kind of go on in the game, because I mean the reactor's only just coming up on this starport. He's only just now starting 2 medevacs at a time. So again, every medevac counts. So losing that one is a little bit of a shame, but far from the end of the world. He's also reacting out Widow mines here, so again, going to use them in the composition as we see the first Colossi on the way out for StrinterN.
Yeah, uThermal is now starting to move out on the map more. He's definitely the one in this matchup who's taking, is the one taking all the moves. and StrinterN is more sitting back, like trying to lay back and defend. To be honest, in the current meta, that's kind of how TVP just works. You know, the Terran is trying to make something work, and the Protoss tries to sit back and defend until they get like that scary deathball army. And it's really the Terran's job to prevent that from happening. We now have timing for him with Medevacs, Stim finishing up, as well as Combat Shield. He scans the army of the Protoss. He sees there's one Colossus, a bunch of Stalkers with Blinkers from Zealots. He cannot fight this heads-on, I think, but he might try to sort of pull him out of position, maybe do some drops in the main. But no, he's going to pull back to the central tower.
He puts a couple of Widow Mines into that medevac there, but he is just retreating back home. I don't know if he's maybe forced to send that medevac out. I don't think he does, because we didn't. I mean, he's not like sending forwards or anything right now. So he's just backing off, and I think it's the right decision. I mean, the third base is just on the way up now from StrinterN, so he's not in a rush to do damage. Once that third base comes up, the Protoss is going to be a little bit more stretched out and struggling to deal with drops everywhere, so that's when he's going to step up the pressure.
Okay, uThermal scanned his army and he saw there was an observer hovering above it, and he managed to take care of it. So this is kind of his moment to make a move, and this is the moment which is always quite stressful as a Protoss, because you have 3 fronts that you might have to defend. He's got Stalkers in the main to prevent drops. He's got his army at the third, along with the Mothership Core, because that's usually the more common space of attack. uThermal is now heading. Oh, okay, he spots the army. Oh, he's going to catch some probes, though. That's actually quite huge here. Kills 5 probes almost for free. Forces the move out of the Protoss army. Meanwhile, in the main, we have the mine drops not being countered to. 1 mine goes off, 2nd mine goes off, 11 probes killed. But here comes the main fight. Nice splits here by uThermal. The Colossus in the back are actually being focused by the Marauders, but are there enough Marauders to kill them? I don't think so. The Marauders are targeting on, and both Colossi go down.
This was an incredible trade by uThermal. I mean, he's just, 11 workers was fantastic to begin with. To then kill 2 Colossi as well, it's kind of incredible. I mean, the thing is, for StrinterN, he'll be a little bit frustrated here, because he had the army to fight there. Just his Colossi were a little bit to the side, they didn't have the Zealots in front of them, and the Marauders took the opportunity. That was a really great snipe from uThermal, really taking control of the moment.
Yeah, control is the correct word here. At this point, uThermal is pretty much the one who's shoving towards his opponent, trying to get as much army to the other side of the map as possible. He's even still adding on mine, which I think is a very interesting addition. You don't usually see that all that much. But I really feel that StrinterN is indeed being stretched, really far. He takes on another fight. He's trying to kite back, try to draw these Zealots into the mine fire, and takes a lot of big hits here. The Vikings are quickly taking care of the Colossi, though. But I'm not sure if there's enough bio to fight against the rest of these Stalkers, and these Zealots are now warping in. There is no charge, though. That's a huge factor.
Yeah, these Zealots coming in behind are going to kind of change
Oh,
things
he takes on
bit,
another Colossus.
Yeah, that's the problem again. The Zealots, without that charge, as you were saying, they can't get there in time to protect the Colossi. And I mean, Stalkers on their own are pretty crap, honestly, against bio, especially with so many Marauders mixed in. So these Zealots are just consistently in the wrong place, and uThermal just continue to push forwards here. He's created himself a 60 supply lead from these engagements.
Such a huge leader now for uThermal, and the Zealots are just keep getting kited by the Marauders. The Marines doing a lot of damage, and GG, well played, uThermal. In very convincing fashion, I have to say, takes the first game. And honestly, from the start, where he did almost no damage, into another attack with another drop that just did so much damage, he completely turned that around.
He just, he just found opportunities, and that's what TVP is all about when you play this. When you play TVP, honestly, you just have to look for ways in which you can take an advantage and slow your opponent down. And he took every advantage he got. He got, Colossi snipes when there was still an army there. He got a bunch of worker kills with mine drops. He was doing. He pretty much took every opportunity he had and made the most of it. And that's what TVP is all about, because you can afford to trade. That's what you want to do as the Terran player. And if you can trade effectively like he just did, you end up 60 supply ahead. You move across the map. Cool, I win.
Yeah, what's so important also is his control. Like, you see Morrow do it all the time in GSL and Pro League or SSL, where he, when there's a big fight between the Protoss army and the Terran army, and the Terran just takes a couple of Marauders and runs them forward and starts focusing down Colossi, and the Stalkers just sit there shooting at the Marauders, and they're like it doesn't do anything, and your Colossus just die to Marauders and Vikings.
Yeah, it was. It's one of them things. Like, he's just so good. Again, you have to be that good. His control is fantastic, and it takes a lot of skill to consistently be macroing behind all of this stepping forwards, chasing those Colossi. Again, he just played that brilliantly. We're going to go into Cactus Valley for game number 2. It's actually a pretty standard map for TVP in this map pool.
I agree.
The most surprising map, I think, is Iron Fortress third, but we'll come to that if we get to it. But Cactus Valley, very standard, a lot larger, and in both ways, it kind of works in both ways. Either this can mean for StrinterN there's the opportunity to be kind of aggressive and do something a little bit weird because it's so large you can hide things all over the map.
True.
But at the same time, it's a large map, so it's very hard to move across. But that also opens it up for the Terran drops. So.
All right. Well, let's get into the game. We are going into Cactus Valley. Like you mentioned, there is definitely a lot of space here for the Protoss to do some cheeky moves, try to proxy some tech. I honestly was a bit surprised that he didn't try that on Coda, but perhaps it has, that's more of a mentality thing, like determining how you want to play against a player like uThermal. And well, his decision clearly was to just play the macro game, see how far you can get. But uThermal, he shut that down hard. So let's see if he can do that one more time.
Yeah, indeed. We're loading into the game, getting ready to go on Cactus Valley. Something uThermal did the other day on this map against Wellmu in the Base Trade TV qualifier. Here he is, uThermal
Here he
right
is,
now.
yes.
uThermal.
But tell me, what did he do?
So he went for this kind of one base build, which was it's kind of similar to what we saw in the last game, just without a command center. And he actually killed the natural nexus of his opponent with a combination of like Hellions and Marines and mines, kind of zoning his opponent out. But then he died from kind of a counter attack from Wellmu, and I think that's his real weakness right now in this matchup. These aggressive plays. So I kind of like StrinterN to change it up a little bit from that last game, but.
Let's see how he's going to do. We have him here in the top right. The purple Terran representing AT Gaming. He is uThermal.
Let's hear it for our player in the lower left corner of the map. In the red, from Colin G Sports, it's StrinterN.
So StrinterN, once again, putting a lot of chrono boost into his Nexus. Usually that's quite common at this stage of the game, but I just want to emphasize, you mentioned Cactus Valley, an absolutely huge map, lots of space for the Protoss to do all sorts of trickery. I kind of want to see him do that because to me that consists of good decision making. When you get completely destroyed like that on the map before, you kind of have to realize that you have to change it up in order to bring it back in a series like that. Of course, it's all the more impressive if you then do again play the macro game and manage to win. But I think it would be a smart move for him to try something that uThermal might not like playing as much against.
I completely agree with you, but the problem is uThermal is saying, I'm going to control the pace of this series. He's opened with a gas first here, and this is completely different. This, again, opens up that aggressive possibility. I don't know how well this is going to work out cross-map, though. I mean, it's going to be a little bit longer to get his units across there, so I'm kind of intrigued. This factory is going to come down very quickly. We'll see what he's going to make from this.
Yeah, I really want to know, like maybe he's going to do Hellions again. This is a large wide open map, so Hellions, they have the ability to definitely run around the opponent's army and hit a couple of probes before the Protoss realizes what's going on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the build he did against Wellmu the other day. I didn't quite catch the complete opening, but I imagine it's something like this because it's going to delay the command center for quite some time. The factory's going to come up a lot faster, so it's a lot more, it's going to be a lot more aggressive. And again, StrinterN may not be expecting something like this on this map. He might not even scout because it's a 4-player map.
Yeah.
If he sends a probe out, there's a chance he scouts in the last, position.
Exactly.
So if he doesn't scout, he's going to have no idea this is coming. And this could work very well for uThermal, as we do see that Nexus coming down for our Protoss player.
Yeah, he uses practically the same build as he did in the last game, now getting his Mothership Core after the Nexus. So he definitely, is going to be looking towards more of a macro-oriented play. He just took his second gas at a very regular timing. I really feel he's going to be playing, the macro or die game versus uThermal here. But let's see what uThermal has to say about it. He's got a Riddle Mine already, getting a starport. Good thing for StrinterN though is that he is scouting, so he should be at least. Actually, no, he's not going to see that because there's 2 Marines on the ramp. 3 Marines.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to scout it a little bit too late, I think, unless these Marines start moving to the middle of the map. But I think they're just going to move to the natural to try and deny information. Because if you go into the natural, he'd see no command center, and to not build your command center on the low ground would be very weird in TVP. But building these Marines at the front is going to deny that. 3 Marines is a bit interesting, because, I mean, usually you get a reactor and start reactoring Marines, so seeing 3 may be a little bit odd. But that's the only real thing he's going to be able to pick up on here. And I mean, for all he knows, there's just a Marine sitting behind it. He kind of walks through here, but he doesn't get close enough to see the command center or anything. So
he sends in his own SCV, but he doesn't see much in the main of StrinterN. The SCV just died there. He doesn't see the Twilight Council either. I don't think Twilight Council or Blink will be in time to really do anything about this attack from uThermal. uThermal's build seems very similar to a very common Hellion elevator, which you see a lot in TVT. Except this one incorporates mines for more damage.
Yeah, I think the main thing with the mine is it's going to be kind of used as a zoning unit on the ramp of StrinterN, so that he gets his units kind of stuck on this ramp and he can't move down the ramp without losing something. So I think that's what the mine's going to be useful here. The one thing that's kind of good for StrinterN is because he's going for Blink, he really is going to add on a lot of Stalkers here early on and start building that Stalker count early.
Yeah.
And that's going to work in his favor here. So again, he really doesn't quite know exactly what's going on. But we'll see if these 3 Stalkers, which are going to be out, are going to be enough.
Here comes the medevac. Look at the pylon placement. It's going to be spotting this as early as possible. Meanwhile, at the front, we have 2 Hellions parked ready to go. Here comes the drop. Marines are going to be trying to focus down these these Stalkers. The Widowmine burrows, and one Stalker is definitely going to go down here for sure. Not the best control area of StrinterN, I feel. He almost takes down the second one. Takes out the Mothership Core with the Widowmine and the Marines. And this cripples the defense. Where are the Hellions? They're running in right now, and they're going to be trying to focus on these probes. Oh my god, this might be a slaughter.
Yeah, StrinterN's in a lot of trouble, man, because he still doesn't have enough to actually kill these units. And with no photon overcharge, he can't buy time. He's warping in, he's actually just building 1 Stalker at a time here still, and it's just not going to be enough. Hellions are still roasted away on
1 Hellion, 2 Hellions now. I know those are going to be going down on these probes right now. Probes trying to find back citizens arrest on this Hellion here, but he's still, they're not fighting. They surrounded it, but they're not attacking. Here come more Stalkers though, but this medevac is keeping these Marines alive for so long, and GG, uThermal completely destroys StrinterN. I really have no other words for this.
I mean, he changed things up. I don't think StrinterN was expecting that at all, and he just moved across the map. He was aggressive, and again, it's so hard to actually scout on this map.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he changes things up. It goes very well for him, and it is a complete slaughter. The control from StrinterN kind of slipped up a little bit here or there. You know, he got them Stalkers kind of cornered. He lost one very early, and in this sort of scenario, when you're working with so few units anyway, you need to keep everything you can alive.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, this was it for this series. We're going to be wrapping this up for this one and move over to the next series as soon as possible. I believe it's going to be a ZVP. I'm not sure who's playing.
It's not ZVZ, Jona versus Namshar?
Was it Jona versus Namshar? Actually, let's take a look at the brackets here and see how things are actually going to go and progress for the rest of this tournament. And you might actually be able to see the next upcoming matches.
Yeah. Jona and Namshar are in Group A with uThermal StrinterN, so I believe that will be next with ZVZ. Yep. And that'll be quite interesting because, I mean, Namshar, I've heard he's very confident, and we were talking about Jona feeling pretty good recently as well, so... Yeah,
I think Jona's CVZ is definitely solid. He really understands the matchups at a high level, of course, which is something that is required from high level game. Here we go, we have the brackets for you guys. So we just saw uThermal take his first match over StrinterN. And the next match will be Namshar versus Jona. We'll be seeing Loco in action here as a caster as well. Still gonna have to fight a bit over who gets the cast at, but we'll get that sorted out as soon as possible. So for now, that was the first game of the series, guys. We're gonna take a short break, and when we're done, we're gonna be going to the next game, which is Jona versus Namshar.
Making things is in our DNA. For 23 years, we've brought together some of the brightest minds in the computer industry to create and build new technologies and products that push the limits of PC building. But now, Cooler Master is looking beyond DIY, beyond just doing it yourself, to a more ambitious future where we're driven by the desire to reinvent the ways PCs are designed, made, bought, and used. We spent the last few years constructing our muse, our blueprint for technology and the next generation of computing. And the master concept is the first step. We collaborated with a team of world-class case modders and power users to combine our conception of the ultimate modular case with their expertise and vision. After brainstorming, hands-on testing, and countless feedback sessions, the master concept was born. And with it, a new direction for Cooler Master's future products.
What I am surprised with from day one, coming into I don't mean to be disrespectful, but a Taiwan case company, normally you'd think really rigid, we've done this certain way for 20 years. You've blown me out of the water. I'm in shock of what I've seen, and it's great. This needs to happen.
Our master concept is the result of a vision that every person's PC can be unique. And this is a first step in a fundamental reimagining of our relationship with fans and supporters. We're embracing the maker spirit, and we want to reach out to the community to provide them the tools they need to fully express themselves, to give free rein to their creativity.
We've progressed to a point where I think people can, really bring in their own style to it and add value, not just have, a beautiful case, have it be a little more freeform, which is why I'm really excited about having a modular level type design.
It's a dream for me to be working with these guys.
It's a new way of thinking in the computer world.
The community had spoken. We listened. And the master case represents the vanguard of our response. Inspired by the master concept's revolutionary approach to working with the community, it pioneers a new wave of case technology. Fundamental to this is our unique free-form modular system. In the master case, free-form gives you absolute control over how your case looks and functions, opening up new options to create multiple setups like home servers, professional workstations, and even gaming rigs with advanced water cooling and extra long graphics cards. From cases to power, cooling, and peripherals, our products will embrace the concept of offering greater choice and potential for self-expression. We want to give you the flexibility to make it yours.
Hey guys, I think we're back.
Should be.
So you're looking at local right now?
Yeah, I just joined the cast as well instead of Wardy. So today we actually got a really cool series next. It's going to be Jona versus Namshar. And I'm actually personally very excited for this. It's going to be a very high level Zerg versus Zerg.
Definitely.
Yeah, so do you have any predictions? Actually, we didn't do that in the last one, but do you have any predictions for this one? I'm curious.
Well, Jona has been complaining he's cold, so I don't think he's gonna win.
Well, I think he's joking around. Obviously,
Yeah.
Namshar, especially recently, has been doing very, very well. He's been winning a lot of stuff. And I would say, just in general, Namshar is a little bit of a higher level player, but
You think? All right.
yeah.
I really want to see that in action. Like, I'm not too familiar with Namshar as a player, except of course from seeing his games, in the DSCL invitation and the qualifiers. Jona to me is a player who has a lot of fluctuations in his performance. So he can either be like the best Zerg EU at one game and be like, well, not a diamond level scrub, but something along those lines the other if he's having a bad day. So we're really gonna have to see this and hopefully get into the game, as soon as possible and see how these players stack up against each other.
Yeah. So I actually just managed to talk a little bit to both of the players as well, and Jona mentioned that he hasn't really been able to practice as much as he ideally would have liked to. So we'll see exactly if that comes into play, and obviously Namshar is currently playing full time.
Oh.
So he's been practicing hardcore, and he really, he really wants to try and take this tournament.
Yeah, well, I really hope he's going to go as far as he hopes to get. These players, they all qualified for a really rough bracket.
Yeah, that's true.
I can experience tell you that playing best of ones early in the evening can be a grueling task, because it's getting knocked out after one game is not fun. And you just have to keep fighting at some of the best players we have in Europe to make it through this bracket. So yeah, let's get into the game, guys. We're going to see how these players stack up against each other. I really hope both of these players definitely show us the best that they have to offer in StarCraft skill in ZVZ. We're going to be playing on map Coda. What do you think about Coda for ZVZ?
I actually think Coda is one of the better maps right now in the map pool, like you mentioned in the previous cast. It's sort of like the overgrowth of this season.
Yeah.
Very, very, strong all-round game. But we're actually loading up right now, so yeah, should be good.
Should definitely be good. Namshar sporting his Grandmaster banner. We have we have here in the bottom right. No, we're first gonna check out these players in really cool portraits. Just took of him a couple minutes ago. There we have Namshar. All right. Representing AT Gaming in the bottom right, we have the blue Zerg. He is Jona.
And in the top left corner for Carnage Esports, this is going to be none other than Namshar.
Namshar.
So you were asking about Coda LE in general. I would say that Coda is one of the more solid maps overall. There's really no weakness. There's really no tricky shenanigans that you can do, especially on this map. Obviously, some maps are, just sort of defaulted as a cheese map, but this is definitely not one of them.
All right. So what would you say makes a map default as a cheese map?
Well, there's some maps where it's, for example, it is very difficult to take a third base, especially for Protoss and for Terran players.
Yeah.
And on this specific map, you actually have, 2 third bases that you could potentially be taking. So there's a couple of different options that you have. Obviously, as a Zerg player myself as well, I've been playing this map a lot, and it just sort of, makes for very solid macro games. And I would be surprised if you see any kind of cheese, especially in the very first game that both of these players are playing in this tournament.
Yeah, both players are seemingly mostly stacking up on drones, so I really anticipate a double 15 hatch from both of these players, which means we will see more of a macro-oriented game rather than the good old ling bling early attack style that we at one point in the meta saw a lot.
Yeah, it is still definitely an option as well. You do see it, I would say like half of the games where at the very least like one of the Zerg players is trying to do some sort of aggression with Zerglings and Banelings early on. But like you said, especially lately, there's been a lot of macro games. Obviously, most of the Zerg versus Zerg met game has been focused around roaches, but there's also potential for Mutalisk, and we'll see exactly what both players will be going for.
Jona took his spawning pool just a tad bit later than Namshar's. I feel that this will net him maybe a slight advantage, but usually just an earlier spawning pool won't win you the game. It's really about the follow-up tech and the choices that you make, like seeing how early you go for roaches. Do you go for an earlier to get roach speed? Things like that are what matters, I feel, the most.
Yeah, I would say that neither of these players is really regarded as a cheesy type of player.
True.
I would say they both are definitely macro-focused, so it looks like this game is going to make up to be just a very, very standard macro game right now. We see spawning pool and gas guys just being taken at the exact same timing. And you can basically cast this entire game from production depth right now. I mean, there's really very little deviations. As you said, the spawning pool was slightly earlier, but I mean, it's not going to make that big of a difference in the end.
Both players are spreading their overlords out across the map, trying to get good vision, trying to get a good idea what their opponents are doing. You don't want to send all your opponents to all your overlords to your opponent's base, because if he goes Mutalisk, you're bound to lose a lot of them, which is not something that you really want to have as a Zerg player. Queen's being added on now, and I really want to know what these players are both going to go for. They're both stacking up quite a bit of gas. It's double link speed at the same time.
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons why you can be getting Zergling speed early on in Zerg vs Zerg. Obviously, this wasn't actually ridiculously early or anything. They got the spawning pool before the extractor. But most of the time, you can either use it offensively or defensively. And I would actually be surprised if one of them is going to use it offensively right now. I'm likely assuming that they're going to follow it up with a Baneling Nest as well. There we go, actually seeing both of the Baneling Nests going down at the exact same timing.
Wow.
Interesting enough, Jona actually taking it in the main base right now. So that could actually make up for a little bit of aggression, trying to deny that Overlord Scout of Namshar that is hanging around right now. And he's actually trying to move it up, trying to see what his opponent is producing.
Yeah, there's a very good reason to build your Baneling Nest in a natural, because it kind of, it's not just a tech building, it also can be part of your wall, which can get very crucial, especially when your natural is under attack in the CVC. And yeah, like you mentioned, he is hiding it from his opponent. His opponent has an Overlord in position, but he does not know that there's a Baneling Nest in place yet. It won't have any massive implications. Both players still happily making drones, getting a couple of Zerglings out for, just for scouting purposes. Jona now running in, sees the Baneling Nest of his opponent. Oh, he might actually make it into the main.
Yeah, most importantly though, he saw that there were a lot of drones in the natural, so he's sort of assuming right now that he doesn't have to worry too much.
Yeah.
Just in case, he's going to be making a couple of Banelings right now in the natural, but both players are following it up in the meantime with evolution chambers. So yeah, basically what we mentioned, actually, we see 16 Zerglings on the production tab right now, which may be a result of him scouting all of these workers.
But he's also getting the carapace upgrade. What do you think is the main reason for that?
It could mean that he's deciding to stick on Zerglings for a little while longer. Because obviously Zerglings can actually take multiple Baneling hits once they do have that +1 armor done. But it seems a little bit late for that, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does decide to switch into Roaches later on.
Yeah.
It could also mean that he's maybe deciding to go for Mutalisk in the middle part of the game. But it all depends on how much damage he will be able to do with his aggression right now. We see the Zerg already moving in a couple of the Banelings.
Yeah, he's going, but he's doing it right in the vision of Namshar, so Namshar should be fully aware of what's coming. His Roach Warren is about to finish up, but he's had to pull a lot of money into actually making Lings and Banelings of his own. So we will see now some Bling Micro. Queen actually getting surrounded, but has to be chased away by the Banelings, getting a good connection here for Namshar. The supply still a bit equaling up, and we have some of the links being traded here in the mineral line of Namshar, but this attack could still do a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's actually following it up with more Zerglings right now as well, so he's definitely not done yet. Nice little Baneling hit there once again. And it looks like so far Namshar got the upper hand out of this so far, but you got to keep in mind that both players are pretty much even in economy so far. He actually finds a couple of those Banelings as well, and he's going to try and sneak out the third base in the meantime.
Oh, nice job here by Jona, sniping that drone, delaying the third base, while he's constructing his third base of his own. It's in fact almost already complete. Jona has made another wave of lots of Zerglings, and he's adding on Banelings as well. And what's interesting, though, is to keep in mind is that his own Roach Warren is severely delayed. Like the Roach speed of Namshar is almost complete, it's like halfway. And Jona still has to start this. Oh, we got some Banelings.
Yeah, this is actually very risky right now. Jona just morphing in 11 workers. So he's looking to drone up the third base heavily, and he's likely going to follow this up with as many Roaches as he can. He's still adding on drones right now, which is honestly very, very scary to do. But he's going to be able to get a massive economy lead. And only, it will only be like 13
he's going to cancel the
so.
third.
Wow.
He cancels the third.
That's
grabs
huge.
the drone as well. He's now going to run away. He needs to be very careful though, because there's a lot of Roaches being added on for Namshar, and this counterattack could be very devastating.
Yeah.
But Jona is keeping him very busy.
It's actually kind of funny. Jona says that he hasn't been practicing too much. Well, it doesn't really show in his games right here. He's pulling a Stefano right there, who always said that he never practiced, but he always won every tournament.
Yeah, I never really believed Stefano's words, but the play of Jona is really trying to get inside Namshar's head. Like, he's delayed this counterattack from Namshar by at least 40 seconds, and this is giving him time of his own to capitalize on his own economic advantage and add on more Roaches.
Yeah, so gotta keep in mind that there is +1 attack on Namshar, +1 armor on Jona's Roaches. However, the offensive player right now does have Roach speed, which is still in the production tab for Jona. Yeah,
this is still quite a scary timing. The supplies are about equal up, but I'm not sure if Jona can actually hold on to this third. He has a lot more workers, and he might start losing a lot of them. He's bringing in his own Roaches, but I don't think he has enough still.
Ooh, he's actually forced to follow this up with drones or with Zerglings rather right now as well, which is not what you want to have against +1 attack Roaches.
Oh, this isn't actually looking good for Jona at all. He's still really far behind this, behind on his tech. He probably has drone up just a bit too much. He's lost all of those 10 drones that he made earlier on. There's reinforcements for Namshar coming in, and I think Jona might just be able to hold on, but he needs more Roaches.
Yeah, this is actually going to be very close, and while you may be able to hold on, obviously that economy lead that he had in the past is going to be gone right now. He won't have any more economy leads right now. It's actually
what are these drones doing here?
Yeah. They must have been accidentally on that hotkey group right there for the Roaches.
Yeah, that's a big mistake, I feel, by Namshar. Like, he had an economic advantage, but he was sort of partially throwing it away. It seems Jona is stabilizing, but he's still 30 supply behind.
Yeah, right now it looks to be in favor of Namshar. However, there's only 2 drones, to his advantage right now, and that's usually where the game is really decided. Obviously, it all comes down to the engagement, but whoever has more workers usually will simply be able to make more stuff. It doesn't even really matter if it's roaches or hydras or whatever. But we also actually see double upgrades going down right now for Namshar.
Yeah, he definitely. Oh, and actually now Burr on the way for Jona, so we have a big deviation in the tech paths as far as roaches are concerned, of course. How do you think this will play out with going with Burrow against the upgrades for Namshar?
Yeah, I'm thinking right now that Jona feels very threatened, and he probably feels that he's a little bit behind, so he has to pull some sort of trick right now in order to, get an advantage right now. Obviously, something that he could do is just simply scout out where his opponent's overseas are and try and get a couple of workers or a couple of roaches rather, into the main base and snipe a couple of workers. Something like that, but it's a pretty big commitment to go for both the tunneling claws and the burrow, especially when you're already going to be behind in supply. So you do see, like, right now, there's actually 151 supply, or 155 right now, for Namshar versus 122 for Jona.
Jona has once again been droning up, and now we see another large force of Namshar's roaches crossing the map. Just so many more roaches here for Namshar. He's over 20 roaches up, and I'm really not sure if Jona can hold on to this. He's initiating a counterattack at the third, which will actually kill a lot of his drones. But what is the response going to be from Namshar? He's pulling back. No, he's not. Okay, he's going to go anyway, but he has to fight uphill.
Yeah, this is not a good position right now for Namshar, but he did force his opponent into the natural.
Oh, is he gonna
allows him, to get a couple of drone kills right there at the third base. There is burrow available right now.
Oh, but he's actually killing all of the drones of Jona, so this has equalized out already a lot. And Jona is making new roaches, but he's still so far behind in the roach count.
Yeah, and while the third base did cleaned up on the other side of the map as well, it looks like Namshar will be able to snipe this hatchery, which obviously is
snipe
huge.
is huge. And this really puts Jona in a very difficult position with less army, less work, actually equal workers, and less bases. What is the Zerg to do in a situation like this?
It's very, very difficult. Comebacks in Zerg versus Zerg generally are very hard to pull off. It only really happens if your opponent either makes a massive mistake or if you get a really nice advantage, for example, with those burrowed roaches. But it's going to be tough.
Oh my god, he's going to get surrounded. He needs to get out of here. So many roaches here from Namshar on the high ground. They are low on HP for a large portion of them, though, but he's now putting Jona on the chase, and Jona is forced all the way back. And the question is, will Namshar be able to put the nail in the coffin here?
Yeah, a couple of roaches from Jona are on the other side of the map, meanwhile sniping a couple of the drones. However, does he have enough to hold on at home? Obviously, his opponent is going to be maxed out at this point, and it's going to be a very hard one to hold on to.
The reinforcements of Namshar are actually taking care of the harassment by Jona. He's actually burying his roaches now, but there's an overseer here in the main fight. Now with the natural engaging. So many more roaches here from Namshar, and Jona is just getting crushed here.
Yeah, he also has an upgrade advantage right now, getting an extra upgrade to his missile attacks right now from the roaches, and I think it's simply going to be a little bit too much right now to take it out.
And Jona trying to put on the best move he has. He pulls the drones. He's killing a lot of drones of his opponents, pulling back into the main, but I really think this is going to be it for Olsirona. GG. Namshar takes game number 1.
Very well played, actually, by Namshar right there. I thought for a moment that Jona was having that one. Obviously, he did manage to do a lot of aggression early on, and he did do a lot of damage, but it just simply wasn't enough. He droned up very aggressively behind it, and I think that may have been the main reason why he ended up, basically getting his third snipe down a couple of times.
It's the harsh reality of playing Zerg, that when you make 10 drones, that sometimes just loses you the game.
Yep, it's a very, very hard matchup to call usually, and it was just a very clean game after all by Namshar.
Yeah.
He defended very well as well versus that Zergling Baneling aggression. You got to keep in mind that he was, not making any Zerglings when in his opponent was in the meantime, I believe it was like 24 Zerglings, and that was a massive, massive commitment from Jona.
Yeah, he got some great Baneling hits off on the attack by Jona. I really feel if Jona just pays a bit more attention to his control, just make sure his Zerglings don't get blown up again like that, he can do a lot more damage with this Baneling attack, because the timing itself was quite okay. There were no roaches out on the field for a good 30 seconds after the attack began, so he definitely stood a good chance of doing more damage.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and Jona just actually said it as well in the lobby right there. He said I wasn't expecting that you would YOLO roach all in me right there. I wouldn't say it wasn't all in because it was droning behind, but fair enough.
Yeah, clearly. All right, let's get into the next game. Once Namshar has actually decided to pick Zerg, otherwise we're going to be seeing a ZVT. That would actually be quite interesting.
It's going to actually be a game right now on Expedition Lost.
Yeah.
Bit of an interesting map because it has a gold base in the middle, and it actually has 2 of them. So a very interesting game yesterday. I think it was Snoot versus Hydra, which was a very, very awkward game when both
Oh.
players decided to take the
Yeah, I
gold. But we'll
saw
see if
that.
that comes into play. Yeah, was crazy.
Someone smacked Namshar, like,
Yeah,
he still needs to select his race. All right.
should be
How
good
do you
to go,
think Jona in his current position, like he's down 1-0, I'm not sure. He made some mistakes in the previous game, but nothing, massive proportionally. Like, of course, the mistake that lost him the game is of course a big mistake, but overdroning a bit.
Yeah.
How do you feel in a situation like that?
Obviously, it's a best of 3, right? So if he loses one more right now, he's going to be in trouble. So what he really needs to do right now is just play very, very safe or take a massive risk and go all in and, just try and get a cheap win like that. On the other hand, though, Namshar has the potential to simply go for an all-in right now or cut at the very least some sort of corner. He's going to be able to get an advantage like that if he really wants to. Obviously, he has a little bit of wiggle room right now. He can lose a game.
All right, yeah, that's definitely for him, in a very nice position to be in. He can try something risky. I love the term wiggle room. It's just perfect for this situation, really. All right.
I heard the beeping right there.
Yeah, the beeping has started and the loading has started as well. We have Jona up against the ropes against Namshar in this best of 3 here at the Dutch StarCraft League Open 2015 here in the Melkweg in Amsterdam. We have a decent crowd so far. I definitely hope it's going to be filling up more because we have a lot more room.
Yeah, if you're nearby, you can still come out. But anyways, in the top right corner of the map, the player that is currently 1-0 behind versus Namshar, his opponent. Oh shit, I already called the other one. It's going to be none other than AT Gaming's Jona.
Woo! And his opponent currently up 1-0 from Team Carnage Esports. He's the blue Zerg. He is Namshar.
Yeah, so like I said, it's going to be a very interesting one right now. We'll see if Namshar decides to go for a little bit of aggression, because he definitely has the option to. For example, he could go for a Zergling Baneling all-in. We can already see the first overload on the production tab, though, so it's not going to be something super aggressive early on, but at least he has the chance, he has the option to. Whereas I would say Jona will likely just play it as safe as possible, probably even go for the spawning pool first right now, just in case his opponent was going to go for that all-in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think playing safe at this point is something you can do, but you have to keep in mind that your opponent might, he might game you a bit and be like, well, he's down 1-0, so he'll probably be playing safe. So I can take the risk and play really greedy, go 15 hatch, 16 pool, something crazy like that. I don't know.
We'll see. It all really depends on the gas timing.
Yeah. Let's talk about the map for a bit here, because this is a map where gold bases can come into play, but I don't think that's a very common thing you see in ZVZ on this map. We also have the back doors, but
yeah,
those are also not something that's very common because it takes a lot of time for Zerglings to break those down.
There are some very aggressive moves that you can do with the gold bases on this map, and it actually comes into play every now and then. And I would say it actually is. It's relatively common, especially on a map like this. The main reason is that you can actually expand to watch your opponent, get a couple of drones going there, and just basically don't give your opponent a chance. Just keep it, basically just keep attacking over and over and over again. And as long as he doesn't pick off the drones at the gold, you're gonna get a massive advantage over time. But obviously, we'll see if that comes into play. In the meantime, we did actually see Jona go for the hatchery first, and the spawning pool first for Namshar. So it actually looks like Namshar thought his opponent might have gone a little bit more cheesy, or he just wants to, maybe he just feels so secure right now that he is just so, convinced by his macro game that he will be able to win. So, he's just going to play it as safe as possible.
Yeah, that's of course also an option. When you're in a position like that, you can decide to just go for the safe option and just, feel confident enough that you can just win, regardless of if you play, with a significant economic advantage or not, because your general play is just so much better.
So about the format of this tournament, real quick. Basically, every single player has to go against every single player in their group. So it's not like the player that wins this game or wins this series is going to be out of the tournament. They will be playing a couple more series as well. So it isn't absolutely mandatory that either of these players wins this, but obviously it will give them a nice little advantage. So yeah, we'll see exactly what comes into play here.
All right, I heard a Zergling being very. Very naughty here, and the first links from Namshar already being chased away, or are they the ones doing the chasing? It seems a bit, it seems a bit backwards.
Well, we see no Zergling speed yet for Namshar. He's actually only mining 2 drones in a gas geyser as well, so cutting a tiny little corner right there, getting slightly more mineral income. But I actually am not completely sure what kind of a build he wants to go for. He actually also decided to skip out on that second Queen inject right there in the natural and decided to go for a creep trimmer instead. So he may actually be aiming for that gold base. He may be trying to go for the middle part of the map, spread the creep over there, and get the queens into the action as well. And usually, if both players play perfect, that is going to give you the upper hand.
Oh, that would be absolutely sick if we see a gold base being taken here by either of these players. I really like the fact that you know, Jona seems to be still very calm. You know, he's still droning up. He's not afraid of some sort of all-in. Based on what he scouted, there's really nothing you know, based on which he should be expecting something like that. He hasn't seen the spine crawler at the front, but that spine at the front, it tells such a huge story.
Yeah, you can use it for mind games, but it looks like Namshar is just going to follow this up with a Roach Warren and an Evolution Chamber. Both players already going for the Lara as well, so they're making up their mind that they want to go for the middle part of the game. At the very least, you know, for now. We'll see exactly what they decide to do over there. I like that cruise spread though. That cruise spread is actually kind of interesting. Looks like he's spreading it towards the other third base, so probably no gold place or no gold base coming into play this time around.
Can't always have it all. Already +1 attack here on the way for Jona, along with the slightly delayed Roach Warren. Things are seeming, yeah, very similar once again. You know, almost equal supply, very similar tech, but there's still quite a few choices that both players can make.
I don't know if Jona noticed right there that he drone was moving over, but we'll see. Like
he's going to spot the third. He's going to spot the third really early. That's a good thing for Jona if he wants to, you know, play to this reactively, and he's getting roach speed.
Yeah, the thing is he actually decided to skip out on the Zergling speed, so he won't be able to do anything with this right now. Nice little read by Namshar because, well, who's going to make slow Zergling to try and pick up a third base, right? So there's a big chance he will be able to hold on to this right now. He will be able to move over that spine crawler as well. And he's going to put it in a position where there might be a potential Roach versus Roach fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if he moves it up to the third base, you know, after the cruise spread gets over there.
He's going to lose one Zergling. Jona just trying to do as much damage as he possibly can to this hatchery, and maybe, you know, try to deal the finishing blow at a later stage. He's added on his own hatchery, but what it's more important is the amount of roaches that he's adding on. Namshar just made 6 more drones.
Yeah.
Is this thing, you think, something Jona could capitalize on?
I think the 6 drones is actually a very, very good decision.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we talked about. You know, basically him feeling that he's the stronger player right here and knowing that he can win a macro game. He seems very confident. He's just going to follow this up with pure Roach, and the Spine Crawler and the extra Queen should give him plenty of time to get his own Roaches out as well. Obviously, in Zerg versus Zerg, the defender's advantage is huge. Like, just the fact that your Roaches will arrive to the battle a little bit sooner will give you the upper hand. And the upgrades, well, we do see Jona move out, but the upgrades will finish up roughly around the same time right now.
All right. I feel Namshar definitely should have seen this attack coming, like he has an Overlord in position. His current army is still on creep, and he's burrowing a spine with a location that's quite far away from the third. There's a Queen at the third, but he definitely should see this attack coming. Let's see how this is going to go.
Yeah, so he should... Technically speaking, you should have enough right now to deal with it. Obviously, Roaches do a lot of damage, but here we go. The engagement is going to be in favor right now of Namshar. The reinforcements are coming in. Wow. The Queen also actually transfusing right there.
Nice control there out of Namshar. Might actually go and try for the cutoff, but he has to keep in mind that Jona is also adding on reinforcements to this fight. Supply currently very equal, actually slightly ahead in favor of Namshar, who has managed to secure his third and is currently also mining from it. Jona, though, with the slight upgrade advantage for now and possibly in the future, getting that +2 missile attack, is also mining from his third. So this game can still go either way, and it's really going to come down to control. Nice pickups here from Jona, but he needs to keep in mind that the force from Namshar is slightly bigger.
Yeah. So I get a lot of questions from people asking, like, why do people not switch to Hydras? And the simple reason is that the commitment to it is quite big. Like, right now, if you commit to Hydralisk and get the upgrades and whatnot going, it basically is costing you Roaches, and they really don't want to be in that position. He actually has the option right now to kill those rocks. Cute little move. May allow him to make a couple of workers, and you can actually see that immediately coming into play. 10 more drones on the production tab because of killing rocks.
He's droning up massively behind this because he knows he's slightly delayed the potential attack of Jona. Jona needs to really watch out. There's more Roaches here than he can afford to engage against. 50 more about to pop out from Jona. He's going to need those in a fight.
Yeah. This is actually not looking very good at all for Jona right
no,
here,
he's
being caught off guard. Yeah, the rocks going down. It was a little bit of a mind game with the rocks right here. He didn't anticipate his opponent moving down the ramp like that, and while he will have enough to eventually overwhelm him, the drones were forced off the mineral line for at least a little bit. Yeah,
now we have actually almost a mirrored situation with what we had earlier with Jona trying to sort of give the chase. Supplies have equal out at this point, so we're going to really have to take a look at the economic situation, which means that Namshar has a slight advantage. But it's really going to nullify, especially against the upgrades that Jona currently has. Jona now moving all the way across the map, and Namshar might be preparing for a counterattack. This could be close.
It's going to be an interesting one right now.
He's going to pull back.
Yeah.
All right, so at this stage, it's like the dance of the roaches. You know, it's
Exactly.
all about positioning. We have overlords all across the map, trying to spot all the army movements. Namshar is already taking a fourth, though.
Yeah, both players are both double upgrading. They're both making roaches. They're not switching into anything. They're not trying to go for any kind of fancy burrow play. So like you mentioned, it's all going to come down to the engagements right now. Ooh, actually, what is this in the middle part of the map?
Oh my god, it's a gold base. That drone wasn't going there for no reason. Yeah, I kind of love this by Jona. You know, he knows he needs to get an advantage in some way, and Namshar might just react to this in a completely, in the wrong way. He needs to keep an eye on supply though. Look how many more roaches Namshar has at this point. This is not a fight Jona wants to take at all.
No. Well, you can see, like, as soon as he spends the minerals and the gas that he has, he immediately gets plenty going once more. So we should be seeing relatively even armies right now. That gold base could come into play, obviously. He ideally doesn't want that. Namshar, that is, he doesn't really want his opponent to get that gold, but if he can... Oh, the backdoor rocks as well.
Oh, this could be very dangerous. Like, okay, Namshar is moving in position to defend, but he could also have been going for more of a sandwich for a walk around.
Wow.
Jona actually goes up the ramp. I'm not sure if I like that. Okay, decides to back down at the last moment.
Man, the dance of roaches, you were talking about it just now. He will be able to sneak up that ramp.
He's going to go
barely.
for it. But who gets the better conga? I feel it's Namshar who has a lot more roaches, at least on one side. Not all the roaches of Jona are fighting, and Namshar here is definitely forcing Jona to evict.
Yeah, this was a very, very risky move right there, and it looks like it just barely doesn't pay off. He's trying to sneak out a couple of roaches into the main base, trying to get them towards the natural, but yeah, that also did not happen. All of a sudden, we see a huge supply advantage for Namshar.
Yeah, and now Jona is holding on to a gold base that I'm not sure he can actually defend. Like, he's sending all of his reinforcement there, but so is Namshar, and Namshar is currently maxed out.
Yeah, that was a massive commitment, and you really didn't get anything out of that one right there. And while the gold base, it basically, the gold base basically forces Namshar to move out as well, but after getting a 50 supply lead like that, he should feel more than confident to do so.
He should feel more than comfortable to do so. I wonder if Namshar is aware of how much of an advantage he has. I feel a player of his level, he definitely shouldn't. He's actually going to go break down Jona's back rocks. Does Jona see this coming though? He doesn't have an overlord there to see this coming. He's got some roaches on the high ground, but not enough.
Yeah, even if he sees it coming right now, is there enough for him to really get the reinforcements going right now? He will be close to be max. He's actually close to max out once more.
Jona's army is so much more split up. Oh, I think we need to zoom out a bit more in order to see what's going on here. Okay, it looks like Namshar has actually managed to successfully go up the ramp before Jona was able to cut him off, and he's now into the main base of Jona. Jona now being forced to fight between his own buildings, which are like enemy force fields. I'm not sure what's gonna happen here, dude.
Yeah, this is like the counter trickery right here with the back rocks in the main base. Sadly, he's not taking a gold behind it. That would be that would have been a complete copy, but it looks like, technically speaking, Jona should get the upper hand just with the reinforcements arriving here faster.
Still a lot of roaches there at the bottom, and he's getting crushed in that fight. He's winning the one on the top, but he needs to get a better concave, better surface area. Also, Namshar's reinforcements. He has that fourth base. Oh, this is so close for Jona. Like, he needs to hold on. He needs to take as much kills as he possibly can, but he has to watch out for the reinforcements that might come from Namshar.
Yeah, so there's about 50 supply in roaches for Namshar on his side of the map.
Oh, and he's getting burrow.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of interesting. Oh yeah, tunneling claws and burrow once again researched as well. Could give him the positional advantage.
It's going to give him a massive advantage because there are currently no overseers out on the map for Jona. In fact, he's adding on 3 spore crawlers at this point. I'm not sure why. Maybe he's anticipating a Muta switch. Oh, this is quite close to. He sees the burrow. He needs to make overseers, and he immediately makes one.
Yeah, he's gonna need to. Obviously, there's nothing to actually kill the overseers, so it's not like he needs like 4 of them. But most importantly, these roaches are gonna be at full health once again.
Namshar picking off roaches left and right here in this fight. Keep in mind that he does have the 4th base at the bottom right. Some good pickoffs here for Jona. What do you think?
Yeah, the Roach Warren. The Roach Warren is gone right now, so he won't be able to produce any more units right now, which gives Namshar about a good minute where he has a massive timing window. Yeah,
this is and he's once again burrowing. Yeah, the thing here for Jona, the fact that he doesn't have burrow means he cannot heal his own roaches, and these roaches here are getting caught completely. Oh, this is absolutely massive for Namshar. He's managing to kill off so many roaches practically for free.
Yeah, and he's forced to add on Zerglings right now as well, which is not what Jona was really thinking. Or what, not really what he was hoping for, rather. He does have a pretty suitable amount of roaches right now,
I don't
but
think so.
yeah,
It's
look
not
at the
looking to
supply
be
count.
enough.
Yeah,
The supply count is indeed massive. More roaches from Namshar are actually trickling down from the main path. Burrow also being used here by Namshar in order to regenerate. He's got the good surround here going on. Jona now being forced to retreat to his natural, but he can't hold on to his third and maybe just forced to concede right here.
Yeah, very, very well played so far by Namshar. Really not making any mistakes in neither of those games. Yeah, just very, very solid. Confident in his play, confident in his play style, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit too much right now for Jona to hold on to.
Yeah.
Like just, you know, it's 200 supply right now for his 120. He is gonna, you know, try and get an A for effort here, but
yeah, he's going
I
to
think
try
it's
at
gonna
least
be too
save his
much.
hatchery, but Namshar
Yeah.
is just bullying him out of position. Most of his reinforcements also now currently trying to surround
The third
Jona's
base is
last
gonna go
force.
down.
Yeah, he's going to snipe it. Should probably unburrow the last of his forces, goes for the surround, and this should be the final fight of this series. Jona between Namshar. Namshar definitely clutching his win here at 2-0 in a very convincing manner. Last of the roaches of Jona are winning here, and well played by him.
yeah, 2 base versus 4 base, never a situation that you want to be in. You know, whatever base you play, it's not something you want to experience, and especially when your unit is making, or when your opponent is making the exact same units as you are, it is not going to go in your advantage usually. So he's trying to hold on for dear life right now.
I'm not sure if this is fantasy GG timing. GG well played. Namshar takes the series 2-0 against Jona, one of our local heroes here in the Netherlands.
Honestly, very, very well played though.
Yeah.
We saw the cheeky wink right there at the camera.
Yeah, let's be real. There was really nothing we could take away from Namshar in the series. You know, he just played excellently.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got to give it to your prediction. You know, he definitely played better than Jona, and I hope he goes far in this tournament.
Yeah, this is going to be you know, a very good tournament for him. He has a very good chance of making it out of his group, obviously.
Awesome.
And he will obviously have to go up against uThermal and against.
Oh, let's check.
Hold on. Can we have a quick look at the brackets? Actually, that'd be a really good one to have a look at right now.
Yeah, it's just it's going to be uThermal, Namshar, Jona, and StrinterN in this group.
So it's going to be against StrinterN and against uThermal.
All right. Well, I think we'll keep it to that for now. Right now, we're going to go into commercials, guys, and we'll see you in the next series.
Making things is in our DNA. For 23 years, we've brought together some of the brightest minds in the computer industry to create and build new technologies and products that push the limits of PC building. But now, Cooler Master is looking beyond DIY, beyond just doing it yourself, to a more ambitious future where we're driven by the desire to reinvent the ways PCs are designed, made, bought, and used. We spent the last few years constructing our muse, our blueprint for technology and the next generation of computing. And the master concept is the first step. We collaborated with a team of world-class case modders and power users to combine our conception of the ultimate modular case with their expertise and vision. After brainstorming, hands-on testing, and countless feedback sessions, the master concept was born. And with it, a new direction for Cooler Master's future products.
What I am surprised with from day one, coming into, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but a Taiwan case company, normally you'd think really rigid, we've done this a certain way for 20 years. You've blown me out of the water. I'm in shock of what I've seen, and it's great. This needs to happen.
Our master concept is the result of a vision that every person's PC can be unique. And this is a first step in a fundamental reimagining of our relationship with fans and supporters. We're embracing the maker spirit, and we want to reach out to the community to provide them the tools they need to fully express themselves, to give free rein to their creativity.
We've progressed to a point where I think people can, really bring in their own style to it and add value, not just have, a beautiful case, have it be a little more freeform, which is why I'm really excited about having a modular level type design.
It's a dream for me to be working with these guys.
It's a new way of thinking in the computer world.
The community had spoken. We listened. And the master case represents the vanguard of our response. Inspired by the master concept's revolutionary approach to working with the community, it pioneers a new wave of case technology. Fundamental to this is our unique free-form modular system.
have Namshar.
So I always like doing this. I always like talking about predictions. I don't know if you have any. This is a very hard one to call, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, I'm gonna go 2-1 for uThermal. I think we're gonna see a game 3.
Okay. 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 Fair enough. I think I'm gonna actually. Well, I was gonna say 2-1 uThermal as well, but just because we have to, at the very least have some opposite opinions, we're gonna go with 2-1 for Namshar. I think it could be. It could really go either way. Obviously, uThermal has been, he's been doing very, very well. Both players are playing full time, and they're putting all of their efforts into StarCraft right now. It's gonna be a very, very good one.
Yeah, and I mean, uThermal, he says TVZ is not his best matchup, but then just the other day to qualify for IEM Shenzhen, he had the best series between two foreigners in a long, long time against Snoot. So he can play really good TVZ. So again, it's just about can he get through that kind of semi-little mental block here that he might have coming into this.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, Snoot, one of the very best Zerg players that is not Korean.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, the Koreans are a little bit better, but yeah, like you said, both players can take this game.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got such a standard map to start us off here. Coda, it's, there's nothing to really favor anyone here. The third base, easy for both. The fourth base is actually quite nice for the 10 player as well, because you can put in that more forward location, and that, it builds up your momentum throughout the game as well. And it's very easy to take that. The fourth base for the Zerg probably going to be put to the bottom left side. Again, I mean, they're all nice bases here. There's a lot of counter-attack potential for the Zerg player as well, with multiple different pathways. So this can be a very dynamic map.
Yes. So Namshar definitely a Mutaling Bane type of guy, and uThermal definitely a bio kind of guy. So it's making out probably, I'm assuming right now it's going to be a very, very standard Terran versus Zerg, or at least, something we see very, very often.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any real surprises super early in this game. Namshar, he's just mining a little bit of gas right now, and I mean, uThermal's putting down his command center. It's actually a gasless expand from uThermal, which is a little bit different.
It's nice for this Overlord.
Yeah, he's actually probably going to get that. So that's a really nice opening. Namshar just not expecting this here, expecting probably the Reaper opening. It's kind of weird because Terran openings, they all seem to lead to the same thing, but there's a few slight differences very early on. And ooh, this is a second Rax. This is actually a third Rax too.
Oh, I like this.
This is okay. So I just said a lot of Terran openings lead to the very same thing, but uThermal was like, no, they don't. This is actually what he did against Snoot on this map the other day in the IEM qualifier.
Yeah.
It opens up. I think he goes for like a combat shield sort of push, and it's very, very interesting and very different to what you usually see in this sort of matchup. Usually you see them Hellions controlling the early game. And I wonder how long it's going to take Namshar to sort of realize something's up, because of course he's going to see that lack of Hellions.
Yeah, usually around the 6.5 minute mark, we would see the first Hellions move across the map, and that would be the point where Namshar might get a little bit suspicious. But we did see that first Overlord getting picked off, and that one is huge. He won't have any scouting of this at all. There's no Overlord in the natural. There's nothing really that helps him identify what's going on, other than the lack of Hellions, exactly like you were talking about. So we'll see what he does. Obviously, he's just going to play a safe all-round style, but there's a big chance that he's going to be skipping out, at least for now, the mailing nest. As you can see, all the drones pulled out of the gas geyser for the Zerg player, and just getting deserting speed right now.
Yeah, and just a couple of Zerglings coming on the map looking to potentially hunt down that SCVs, just checking over towards the third base. I imagine he's going to probably send these across the map and keep an eye on what might be moving out of his opponent's base, especially if there's not Hellions on the map, because there's nothing to really deny those Zerglings. So
ooh, nice scout actually by uThermal, getting the full look at what is going on right here for Namshar. Interestingly enough, actually, Namshar not having any vision out on the map at all. I mean, the Overlords are very close by his bases, and he may be a little worried for drops or something like that.
I think he might have pulled them back a little bit after losing that first one, because he knows the potential for Marines to move out onto the map.
Yeah.
And we do see a few Marines on the map right now, so this is very, very early, and especially considering Namshar doesn't really have any idea this is going on.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of trouble, because I mean, he's got no Banelings, he's actually got no Zerglings on the map right now.
This is an interesting push. This is something
Marines?
you don't see.
It is.
7 Marine hit squad right here is going to try and pick off one of the Queens, immediately going for the creep tumor. No, not going for the creep tumor. Not sure what he was targeting there, but he's just going to try and do a little bit of damage, be annoying, and it's working out.
Yeah, he's going to get what, an Overlord. He's just going to grab that Queen, and the second Queen as well is going to continue to retreat. It's just going to get up that ramp, and with that creep advantage, he'll be able to get away. But
this is a weird little timing right here, and it works out very, very well. He's going to be able to clean this up, obviously, right? It's not going to cost him the game or anything.
That Queen, man. These Queens have just made it away. I don't I don't think I've ever seen 7 Marines be so effective without a
No.
medevac or
No.
stim or any upgrades.
There was nothing. It was just a random 7 Marines moving out on the map. And let's actually talk for a second about what this means for the Zerg player right now. First off, obviously he lost a bunch of queens, and he's going to be forced to remake those, which is annoying. But most importantly, the creep spread is going to be really, really bad for the most part right here. He's not going to be able to do very much at all. He's trying to do a little counter-attack right now with the Zerglings, but obviously the depot wall is going to be up in time. So very nice little opener so far by uThermal, following this up with the victory eventually, getting up the 3rd command center as well. Still actually mining only 1 or actually no, there's 2 gas geysers right now, I was going to say.
He's moving out on the map once again, and he's got combat shields now with these Marines. So he's going to look to try and do a little bit more. We do see the Balin nest about halfway done, though, and I believe that he'll be able to get Balins out in time if he knows it's coming, which is the real issue. Because again, no map vision, apart from in the center of the map, but uThermal, he's taking the long road.
He has a couple of speedlings running around, right? He could definitely get a little more vision going on. And while he does have the middle side of the map right now, this group of Marines, once again, a hit squad of Marines moving out across the map. He's not going to spot them until they're already shooting at this overload at 3rd base. Let's see what we can do with those. There's obviously going to be queens, though. There's going to be Zerglings as well. No Banelings, but I don't think he necessarily needs those.
Yeah, I think with 4 queens and just a few Zerglings in front, I think he should be able to do
he's just going
this. And yeah, uThermal, smart choice, I think.
Oh, imagine you're one of those Marines. That'd be absolutely terrifying. Like, it's like, oh, guys, just creep over there. Let's move up.
Man, like, Marines are usually quite happy because, they've always got a medevac to pick them up, get them out of trouble. These ones, they've pulled the short
free
straws.
stim packs. It's awesome.
Both players starting their 1-1 upgrades. Not really, too much. It's been a very weird opening from uThermal, but it still leads to this very standard mid-game where both players are getting double upgrades, Lairs just finishing, 3rd base taken at kind of pretty much a standard-ish time, and both players are in a pretty comfortable position. Again, Namshar, the only real negative side from all of this I can really see right now is that he probably doesn't have his creep as far forward as he'd like it to be.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that uThermal is in a very nice position right now. Usually with these sort of builds, you see that the 3rd base is going to be delayed, but he landed that at like 9.5 minutes, which is relatively standard right there. Couple of Zerglings actually moving across the map, looking for a 3rd base that does not exist. And we'll see if he maybe will be able to get into the natural. The depot wall. The depot wall. Oh, it's not lifting. It's not seeing it. Zerglings get into the natural.
And this becomes so annoying to deal with. Again, he doesn't have Hellions out on the map or anything, so it's just going to be Marines, and these SCVs have to be pulled away. At the same time, uThermal is dropping. He's got a drop in the main and a drop coming into the 3rd base too, so there's damage all over the map right now from both sides.
Yeah, there's still Zerglings in the natural right now, going to town on them. In the meanwhile, there's also drops going on at the exact same time, so a lot of workers are going to be killed from both sides. Very nice position right there between the mineral lines with those Marines. Oh, he does so much damage here.
Yeah, I think this is definitely bad for uThermal.
Oh my god.
Obviously he kills more workers, but losing 7 SCVs for Terran players isn't that bad. You've got mules to fall back on.
Oh my
and
god.
These Marines are still going. Look at this. They're killing so many Zerglings because of the positioning. And wow. Now he splits up his Marines 1 by 1 as well. And he's still at the 3rd base, killing drones.
Yeah, he will be able to pick off that medevac right there, but it's going to be traded for a queen, which is not what he was looking for. It will be cleaned up eventually, but in the end, 17 workers were killed by uThermal and 8 by Namshar, which actually adds up to a total that is relatively even. It's kind of wondering, if you look at the income tab, it's obviously going to be mule sided on as well, but...
Yeah, I like this for uThermal though, because he's actually continuing the pressure, and he can always kind of lift up and leave. Especially until Mutas come out of the map. He's actually going to pick off a couple of Banelings here as well. This is just 6-7 Marines, but he's doing so much with it, and a lot more coming across the map.
Yeah, this is where the never-ending Terran push starts assembling. He's going to split his Marines as best as he can, but there's going to be countless units walking across the map right now. The rally point is set here as well, so these units are going to keep reinforcing the existing army. And if he just gets 1 second, if he gets 1 second to get up to that 3rd base or to the natural and kill a couple of workers, that will be it right here. So we'll see. It's like, wow, nice little push out right there actually, getting all of those morphing Banelings.
Yeah, he's going to get rid of all the Banelings, and without Banelings, you just don't kill Marines. Even with Banelings, uThermal was splitting so well. Namshar could barely trade efficiently, and now he's really struggling. He doesn't have the economy he wants.
GG.
He just has to GG.
That was crazy right there, honestly.
Wow.
That was actually pretty much a flawless game right there for uThermal, except for that moment where he forgot to lift up the depot. And come on, we can forgive a little issue like that.
Exactly. He controlled that game from the very start. He made Namshar so scared to move out onto the map.
Yeah.
He did what you usually do with Hellions. With Marines.
Who needs Hellions anyway, right?
Yeah, who needs Hellions?
I love those 7 Marines walking across the map. I don't think I've seen that before, or at least not recently. It's very uncommon. Usually Terran players wait until they finish up at least combat shield.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen 7 Marines without a medevac, without any upgrades, do so much damage. Like,
Ooh, that threw Namshar off of his game completely.
yeah.
And while he was only really forced to reproduce a couple of the queens, the creep spread and everything is just, you know, gonna be a little bit behind at that point. So very cool little move. Looks like we already got the invites for the next lobby, so we're gonna be jumping into the next game as soon as we possibly can. But this is looking extremely promising so far for uThermal.
It's just so annoying to deal with as a Zerg player because you're expecting these Terran players, again, to maybe vary their build a little bit. But in the end, like I was trying to say initially, it's generally all kind of the same thing. But that was just completely different. So I think you're completely right. It completely threw Namshar, and you just didn't have units and
No.
crazy.
Very, very cool. So very clean game right there. Looks like the players are ready to go. So let's jump straight into the game.
Varney Research Station for
Oh.
map number 2.
Yeah, this map is gonna be a little interesting right here.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about it once we actually get into the game. But right now we're going to get our player introductions on our screen. I love it.
Oh, look at that. Looking all badass right there. The high contrasted images.
Yeah, man. They're legit.
Yeah, it looks awesome. And I like the orange as well. You know, a little bit of Dutch
Stands
pride
out.
here.
Yeah. It fits with the theme of the DSCL, you could say.
Exactly, exactly.
Take us away.
In the top side of the map, it is going to be the Terran player that managed to take game number 1 in this best of 3 series. It's going to be none other than uThermal, playing a very, very good tournament so far.
Down to the south side, he did win his ZVZ previously, but can he get his foot back into this series? From College Esports, it's Namshar.
So, Vani Research Station, very interesting map, mainly because there's an in-base expansion, and this usually comes into play very, very early on. Obviously, it allows players to be relatively safe, at least for the early part of the map. But on top of that, there's also, if you fly north a little bit, there's actually a gold base that comes into play very often as well.
Yeah, and that's always going to be something which we're going to be looking for towards that kind of 10-minute mark in the game. Where's that fourth base going to be taken from the Zerg player? Is he going to risk taking it a bit over to the right-hand side, where he's not going to have his creep spread as advanced forwards as he would if he took his fourth to the left-hand side? It's a risk you take, but if you can get that gold base up, it's a huge boost to your economy, and it really will help you out during the mid-game. It means you can afford to trade that little bit less efficiently as Zergs generally do. So.
Oh, I see what uThermal's up here. And what is he up to right here? He's not going to 7 Marine hit squad pick once again. He's not up for that.
No, he's going to go for that command center first. And of course, this is something you can do with this in-base natural. It's very safe. I mean, is a Zerg player really going to temple and, maybe back in the day?
Nah, not right
not
now.
now.
Especially not when you're 1-0 behind.
No, definitely not. Unless you're really tilted, you just really want to get this over with. But I don't think Namshar's in that state of mind right now.
So we see a command center first right there for uThermal. Obviously on the other side of the map we see the hatchery going down as well as the spawning pool. Relatively early gas guys to follow up as well, but nothing too cheesy from either player.
Yeah, this is going to develop into a pretty standard game for the first few minutes here. uThermal taking that gas as well, so this time we actually are going to get into that situation where we've got a few Hellions out on the map, looking to control that, the early, get the early map control for the Terran, and the Zerg can, of course, be looking to move towards that third base, and that's going to be the kind of challenge for him in the early stages of this, dealing with the Hellions for long enough to get that third base place.
Yeah. So Namshar definitely a player that is looking to get a little bit later on into the game. I would say he shines, especially once the game gets past, like, I don't know, the 13, 14-ish minute mark, where he really gets like a good clump of Mutalisks going and gets some Zerglings and Banelings across the map, and he really didn't get into that position at all. So I'm secretly hoping that in this game he will be able to get to that point. It's actually mining 4 guys in gas right there.
He really wants that gas, man.
Yeah, he really wants that gas. It could be he's a little nervous, but that's all good.
Yeah, it's a small mistake. I mean, in the long run of the game, it's very minor. Obviously, I mean, it's he's missing out on like 50, 100 minerals or so in that time, but
he actually did pull off gas right there. He's only gonna mine 100, get that circling speed going as soon as he can. So it's all good so far. He really wanted that gas.
He did, man. I mean, circling speed, good upgrade to have early on. He's not started just yet, though. I mean, I guess he's got other things that he's going to prioritize here. It seems. It looks as though he's got a lot of minerals. Is he going to just move towards his third base? I think he is.
Yeah, we may see the third base a little earlier than we usually see it. Usually see it around the 6-ish minute mark, but this is actually 5 minutes and 10 seconds right now, relatively early on. Obviously pretty good to get up right before the the Hellions really started roaming the map, but he hasn't really scouted very much at all. He got Overlords running around, and right now is the first look at the Terran player that he gets, you know, other than the SCV scout that we saw. He notices, okay, there's going to be a barracks right here with a reactor. Obviously, that factory is going to switch over with that reactor as well, so he will be able to double produce those Hellions. And so far, this doesn't really tell him a whole lot, actually. He doesn't really get to know right now if it's going to be, you know, very, very quick Hellions, or if well, obviously it's not going to be very quick Hellions, but he doesn't know if there's like a third command center follow-up, or once again, those couple extra barracks.
He didn't send any overlords across the map,
No.
apart from he's got one which has moved up the right hand side. In fact, he sent overlords across the map, but he didn't send them all the way forward. So maybe a little bit scared of, again, early Marines picking those off. And because of that, again, this kind of, as you say, he's not going to know too much here. He's not going to get into that main base. He's not going to check for that third CC. And we do see a starport and a second gas on the way up for uThermal, so the potential to turn up the aggression with a little bit of Banshee play here.
Yeah, so 6.5-minute Hellions right there, very, very standard, but what he's going to find is a third base that's already going to be done, and that is extremely greedy. A couple of queens making their way towards that third base as well, and more queens being added on. So this is looking quite nice so far for Namshar. It's going to be very difficult for his opponent to do any kind of damage here. Obviously, he might be able to run those Hellions up the ramp, and he could have actually done so right here because there really wasn't anything.
I think if he comes back and sees them two queens still so far, like, committed so far over towards the third base, he might try and run up there before, and he's thinking about it already.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. Nice little cancel right there on the creep tumor. Doesn't want to lose anything that he doesn't have to lose.
And we see the armory coming down, so uThermal is going to turn up the heat here. He actually didn't make a Banshee at all. He actually went straight into a medevac, which means he's really just going to focus on kind of a bit of Marine Hellbat aggression. Of course, that medevac being able to heal both of those units. As with this kind of delayed speed, these Hellions have a chance to do a little bit of damage and pick away a couple of these Zerglings.
So important to note, there is a Baneling nest on the, you know, it's already on the map right now. So Namshar will be able to morph in a couple of Banelings. Obviously, he's going to need at least something. Wow, one queen caught out in the open, just like that. He will be able to... Ooh, he does save it, just barely.
But I mean, even still, I mean, that queen being on low hit points means that this follow-up, you know, it's an easy target to get rid of very quickly here in this engagement. And Namshar just hasn't really known that this is coming, and without that knowledge, he doesn't have Banelings ready, which gives uThermal a long time here to get damage done. Yeah, the medevac actually took a funny little route around that Overlord scout, so he doesn't notice this until already in his third base, and it's going to be a lot of workers that are going to go down right here. There's nothing to really defend against this. No, these Banelings have only just finished morphing in, but we've got Hellbats sitting on the ramp, and they're going to soak up the majority of the damage.
Oh my god.
Namshar's going to lose what? Like every single queen over here, he's going to... Well, these drones are kind of running for their lives, but they're not going to be anywhere useful.
So, this is actually really, really cute. He's going to have a couple of Banelings out, obviously. He might be able to eventually clean this up, but it's going to come at a massive loss. So the idea behind that Overlord that he has hanging around there on his side, or on his opponent's side of the map, is that he sees every single unit that moves out for the Terran player. But instead, the units were in a medevac. They flew by. He couldn't notice them. Yeah, uThermal's been doing a fantastic job of just avoiding scouts this entire series. And I mean, again, the lack of knowledge for the Zerg player is the only thing that's hurting him here. And again, we see Queens falling and Queens having to use transfuses, which means creep spread's going to be delayed from this point. uThermal's already got that third base. He's now moving into position, and behind all of this, he's starting to add on his production. So he's looking good for the mid game. He's in a nice position, and well, there's a few Zerglings out, but I mean, with we're in this position here, he'll be fine. It's not looking awful though. Let's not talk like the game is over, because by no means is that the case. There's still plenty of high versus further Zerg player right now as well. And most importantly, he got to that middle part of the game where he's a little more comfortable. So eventually, he likely will go for a fourth base. We see a little aggression right now, actually, with these Zerglings on the opponent's third base. But here, the Hellbats, you know, they come chugging down that that ramp right there.
He's doing a lot of damage on this CC. He's very confident that he's going to be able to save it, and of course he does. The Spire just starts up now. Namshar's got a lot of money in the bank, so if he finds a way to be able to spend that, maybe just put that fourth base down sometime soon.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. You know, once he starts spending that, he's actually going to be in a nice position. He wants to drone up a little bit more. He's at 60-ish workers now, which is not great for kind of a late game, for kind of the mid games there. You want to go at 70 to 80 ideally. So he's going to work on his economy a little bit here. There's not really too much threatening him. I mean, there's not many Marines out right now, so there's not too much potential for uThermal to attack.
Most importantly, though, is that the Zerg player has very late upgrades right now. I mean, it's going to be like 12 minutes into the game until those upgrades really start kicking in. The Terran player, in the meantime, also actually delayed his upgrades, but it's going to be about a good minute earlier, which may not sound very significant, but it gives a very nice timing window for the Terran to do a lot of aggression, obviously with Marines and medevacs and Stimpack and you know, the double upgrades.
Yeah, them upgrades make such a difference as well, and of course it's something that's not just going to be one timing, it's going to transition into the 2-2 timing, it's going to transition into the 3-3 timing probably as well, which is of course something the Terran player generally has an advantage in anyways. Second factory coming down again, nothing crazy here from uThermal. He's just building up his kind of mid-game production and getting set to go. And I imagine as 1-1 finishes, Combat Shield's going to finish too. A couple of extra medevacs will be out, and he's going to start marching across the map.
Yeah, this is going to be all about the engagement right now. 12 Mutalisk on the production tab. We will have some very solid crew spread as well. But it looks like the Terran player is making, he's getting ready to actually move out. It's going to be Baneling's morphed in. Is Baneling's speed already done, actually?
Yes,
Let's have a quick
just
look
finished.
at that. Oh, very good.
So, I mean, Namshar's actually perfectly prepared to deal with this, and this hit squad from uThermal is not going to do much more than just clean creep, and I think he has to be very careful.
Yeah, if you get caught too far on creep, obviously the Banelings are just going to roll in, and there's nowhere the Terran player can go.
And there's so many Mutalisks out as well.
Here we go.
Ooh, this is actually kind of scary for uThermal. He's going to lose a lot here. Every single medevac as well. And Namshar is just going to absolutely destroy uThermal in this fight.
Yeah, most importantly, 0 Mutalisk went down right there. And that's the unit he really wants to try and keep alive and max out on. Very, very nice move. And he's actually going to be able to get a nice supply lead here with that as well. Ooh, he doesn't want to overextend though.
The one negative part of this for Namshar is he still hasn't started those upgrades. So without those upgrades, again, he kind of falls further and further behind, and uThermal has more of a timing. So it's really important he kind of tries to do something with this lead he's gained by making kind of a lot of units. But he's attacking with Mutalisk, and at the same time, we have uThermal moving across the map here.
Yeah, the Mutalisk are on the other side of the map trying to pick off a couple of workers, but they are going to be forced home. That's one way to defend, I suppose. It's just by moving out into your opponent's face. It does work out quite well. The Mutalisks are on their way, so he wants to try and wait for as long as possible, but the drones, in the meantime, are going down.
Ooh, the first mine is pretty nice here, but nice splits from Namshar, really just soaking up the mine hits. And again, as these mutants come in, these medevacs are going to be in trouble, and uThermal is once again going to be completely cleaned up.
Yeah, very ballsy move right there by uThermal. Not sure if that was really worth it right here. He did get a couple of worker kills, but obviously it's really all about that supply right now. He wants to try and get as far ahead in that as he possibly can. Still, only just now actually starting +1 melee upgrades and +1 armor. Finally starting as well, 50 minutes into the game, while the +2/+2 is already halfway done for Terran.
Yeah, these upgrades are going to kind of be the defining kind of thing throughout this entire game for uThermal. He has so much time. He's going to have 2-2 while it's still going to be 0-0 for the Zerg, right?
Oh, it's the never-ending Terran push. It's happening again.
Here we go, coming across the map. Namshar's on 83 drones right now, so he has a lot of income to kind of like fight this, fight this army once, remax, and go again. But does he just have enough? Again, these upgrades, I'm really scared. He's just not going to be able to trade effectively enough.
No, the Widow Mines are burrowing forward. Obviously, he has to be very careful. One good Baneling connection will be able to clean up this just fine. Oh, that's not really what he was looking for right there. Finally, Stimpack being used. He's going to lose a couple of Mutalisk if he's not careful.
Yeah, he's just trying to pick off their mines before they kind of hit a big clump of Banelings once again. And Namshar just letting a few units stream forwards here, but the mines are doing their job. Great splits by uThermal, just spreading these Marines so thinly.
uThermal's so good at this game, man. This is a very, very well executed fight. And while he's being aggressive, obviously he has a very nice economy behind it as well. Killing off those couple of workers at the fort base really does help him out. And right now there's really only Mutalisk left, which is not what you want to be facing. Or the Marines with.
Yeah, this, I mean, uThermal looks as though he's kind of run out, but then the never-ending stream of Terran comes across, and he continues to fight here. Mines are coming off cooldown.
They're so low health, and he might be able to clean this up, but like you mentioned, the Terran units are right at his front door once more.
Yeah, this is the problem. Namshar just needs to kind of buy himself a little bit of time. He was fighting 2-2 against 0-0. At least now he's going to have 1-1 finish, which is going to help him a little bit.
Look at all the Widow Mines. The Widow Mines are right here. They're going to be actually done very soon, and they will be able to shoot once again.
Yeah, and Widow Mine's actually in the back there, not getting the best of shots. This 4 in a little bit of trouble, and uThermal going to have to pick up and back off. If he just regroups a little bit, though, I think he's going to be okay. And here we go, reinforcements coming forwards.
Nice micro so far, actually, by Namshar, making the best of the units that he has. We'll be able to pick off that Thor, potentially. There we go. Oh, he really wanted to kill that Thor. It's at the cost of like 4 mutas.
He's lost so many mutas. He's down to only 6 mutalisks on the map right now, which is absolutely nothing. It's not enough, and he's still trying to deal with the mines.
Yeah, slowly but surely, the Terran player is just gonna be able to steamroll him right here across the map. I mean, Stim being used once again. Gonna pick up the hatchery eventually.
Yeah, this hatchery has been on the lowest of hit points for so long, but finally gets taken down. uThermal again just splitting, and these Banelings, they're just doing trade effectively, which is what he needs.
Look at the minimap. Look at the minimap. The Terran player just moved all of his unit-producing structures straight to the other side of the map, just rallying the units across, and yeah, Mutalisk engaging Marines once more. Definitely not what we would like to see here.
These Marines, like the upgrades, just carrying them through this, and Marauder's tanking a little bit as well. And Again, Namshar's just about going to push this back, but there's more and more Tellurian coming across.
And in the meantime, there's actually a fourth base for uThermal as well. He's just casually flying it over right now.
Yeah, that's just going to be GG. You cannot fight that.
No. Beautiful games today by uThermal, honestly. Really not missing a beat.
No, he has been on top of it. 2-0, 2-0 in TVP and TVZ. And the thing is, the most impressive thing, he's looked, again, in control of both series throughout both the games pretty much the entire time. So,
very mannered. He seems very calm right now as well, which is obviously a good thing to see. He's been playing a lot of games. He's been winning a lot of games as well.
Yeah, man.
But very well done right there by uThermal, taking both series in 2-0 fashion. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we're actually going to have a interview with the winner, which is obviously going to be uThermal. So I'm going to give it over. I thought I was going to give it over to Frank, but
yeah, it looks as though it's going to be Thomas instead. So we're going to get uThermal on the mic and see what he has to say about his victory. Moving into the round of 4 in a moment. Or 2. He's just having a drink, putting his cap on, make sure he looks good for the camera.
Make sure everything looks great. Okay.
Gotta keep your image up, man.
But yeah, very good series so far by him, going twice 2-0 in his group, so very well done.
Yeah, okay. It's uThermal.
Well, congratulations on that pretty convincing win over there. So, how do you feel right now?
Feel pretty relaxed, actually.
Yeah. I thought so. You look pretty relaxed as well. You've been doing well lately, and with well, I mean really well. Like, you qualified for China. Guys, come on, that's worth a clap. No, and now, taking this convincing win, we've seen you do well online. Like, is there anything you fear right now?
Well, I was fearing Zerg, but it went pretty well, I guess, so not really.
Okay, and your group tomorrow, because you're through to the next round. Anyone you want to avoid?
Well, I think actually everyone in Group B is kind of hard to play against, so not really. I guess Red and Guru will be especially hard because they're Zerg, quite good Zergs as well, so I guess Red and Guru.
Okay. Now, I've been talking with the audience a little bit, and they had a question for you, and I think it's worth asking. Not a lot of people know this, but you're a pro right now, full-time player. How does a pro player start playing StarCraft? Like, what happened? At what point did you think, well, I'm just going to pick up this game, or how did it happen?
Well, actually, I only played StarCraft 2 because my brother bought it for me.
Yeah.
And I played for about half a year, and I got invited to a qualification for ESWC back in 2011. And originally, my parents didn't even allow me to go to Utrecht. And they were like, if you qualify for the final in Paris, how are you going to go there? But my father was like, if you qualify, you should let him go. And I ended up qualifying, which was very surprising. And I guess that's where it took off. And then after attending a lot of events, I got the feeling that it was like, it was really worth a shot to go full time. It seemed really fun. And actually, it was not as fun as I thought it would be at the start, because it's actually really hard to motivate yourself, but that's how it started.
And your parents, they're pretty supportive now?
Yeah, now they are. Like, I travel a lot, and I have quite a bit of money, so now they're okay with it.
That's cool. Well, good luck in the next round. Thank you, guys. And now we're going to a little break. See you in the meantime.
Making things is in our DNA. For 23 years, we've brought together some of the brightest minds in the computer industry to create and build new technologies and products that push the limits of PC building. But now, Cooler Master is looking beyond DIY, beyond just doing it yourself, to a more ambitious future where we're driven by the desire to reinvent the ways PCs are designed, made, bought, and used. We spent the last few years constructing our muse, our blueprint for technology and the next generation of computing. And the master concept is the first step. We collaborated with a team of world-class case modders and power users to combine our conception of the ultimate modular case with their expertise and vision. After brainstorming, hands-on testing, and countless feedback sessions, the master concept was born. And with it, a new direction for Cooler Master's future products.
What I am surprised with from day one, coming into, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but a Taiwan case company, normally you'd think really rigid, we've done this a certain way for 20 years. You've blown me out of the water. I'm in shock of what I've seen, and it's great. This needs to happen.
Our master concept is the result of a vision that every person's PC can be unique. And this is a first step in a fundamental reimagining of our relationship with fans and supporters. We're embracing the maker spirit, and we want to reach out to the community to provide them the tools they need to fully express themselves, to give free rein to their creativity.
We've progressed to a point where I think people can, really bring in their own style to it and add value, not just have, a beautiful case, have it be a little more freeform, which is why I'm really excited about having a modular level type design.
It's a dream for me to be working with these guys.
It's a new way of thinking in the computer world.
The community had spoken. We listened. And the master case represents the vanguard of our response. Inspired by the master concept's revolutionary approach to working with the community, it pioneers a new wave of case technology. Fundamental to this is our unique free-form modular system. In the master case, free-form gives you absolute control over how your case looks and functions, opening up new options to create multiple setups like home servers, professional workstations, and even gaming rigs with advanced water cooling and extra long graphics cards. From cases to power, cooling, and peripherals, our products will embrace the concept of offering greater choice and potential for self-expression. We want to give you the flexibility to make it yours.
But he said he was, still feeling okay after the game, so not put too far down. So, but he starts to get through StrinterN first, and I actually don't know who's going to win this.
Yeah, this is a scary position for both people to be in. Like StrinterN's play, of course, wasn't convincing because he got completely demolished by uThermal. But the same kind of happened for Namshar, and Namshar clearly seemed to be like a tier above Jona in those games, even though Jona still definitely had a shot at winning them. So this could really go, either way. It's a PvZ. I wouldn't say I'm out of my element, but this is not the matchup I am personally the strongest at understanding. But it's still going to be really interesting. So I say let's get into the game and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, let's see what these guys are going to get up to here in this best of 3. Again, loser out. They come all this way for nothing.
Yeah, it's for a player like StrinterN who's had to travel a long way just to travel and and then get eliminated in the first 2 matches has to be a bit sour. But that's really the way things go at a tournament like this. Like at least half of the players get eliminated at the start of the day. So here we have StrinterN. Currently, I can see him from here. He's currently very, very focused on his screen on this game. He wants to advance, and the same goes for Jona. Even though he felt a bit disappointed, he's definitely going to do his best in order to advance.
Jona has a pretty legit picture, doesn't he?
He's got experience,
he's experienced at taking photos. Like
yeah,
he's got the poses down.
I've coached him a bit. All right. Well, we have here in the bottom right, sorry, of Coda, we have the blue Zerg from Team AT Cooler Master. He is Jona.
And his Protoss opponent in the upper left-hand corner, representing Carnegie Sports, ladies and gentlemen, it's StrinterN. Have we had Coda as the first map in every series so far?
Oh man, I think Loco talked about this extensively. Like people really like Coda. I like Coda, so I honestly can't blame them for it. It's just a map that just works in many ways, and the balance is good. It gives lots of different options to both, almost every race and almost every matchup. So it's not any surprise that we're going to see this map a lot in these games.
Yeah, again, it really is a staple in the kind of best of 3 series map pools nowadays. And, first map, very standard, and a lot of people just want to play that standard map to get us started, see what's going on, see what's happening, see how they fare against their opponent in what should be a fairly straight-up game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because, like I said, or like you said, I really don't know who's actually going to win this game, from the start off. I feel both players, if they just play inside their comfort zone, they definitely have a really good shot at beating their respective opponents. I like this gateway on the high ground for StrinterN. Oh, actually, he's going to scout the natural. He's going to probably be threatening with a bit of a cannon rush, but that's not possible since there is not a forge in play.
Just
needs to turn up the volume a bit on his white noise so he cannot hear the casters. That's of course, since the players are not in a separate venue, they use separate headphones with white noise generators, so they cannot hear the casters. And yeah, we have a bit of an annoying probe here being chased away by the drone.
You're not going to go free hatch before pool because he's moving that drone over there now, and I mean it's actually quite surprising to see him get this down with this early scout from StrinterN. So I think, yeah, he's going to put it down.
Oh, this is really good from Jona. Like, StrinterN went for a gateway expand. Jona went double hatch before pool. This is like the build order counter to that build, and he did it blindly. Actually, no, his overlord saw the nexus.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just saw that the probe wasn't really threatening anything at the natural. If it was going to be a cannon rush or anything, he would have already tried to start putting pylons down. So Jona just putting that free hatch down and very confidently going to get himself into a very good position to begin here today.
Yeah.
As probe comes back in to the main base of StrinterN, and he just wants to make sure right now that he checks for the gas, because if he can see the gas going down, he has a nice idea as to when that Zerg speed could be on the map and when he has to be kind of prepared for that potential aggression.
Yeah, same way around. What I really noticed is that we immediately have double gas being added for StrinterN, and he's double mining with 6 probes. So he's definitely focusing on on his income right now. The question is though, who's going to be the first player to really make a move? I really feel that StrinterN, because he's going to be playing against 3 hatch before pool, has to make something work here. He cannot just sit on 2 base and try to get something out, because he will be overwhelmed when he moves out on the map with a decently sized army.
Yeah, he's I mean, it's going to be a little while here before we really see what he wants to get up to. I mean, right now his mothership core only just starting, his warp gate just starting as well. we'll see what he wants to do. I mean, he's on 2 gases. It's going to be, you know, the ball's in his court. You know, does he want to be aggressive? Does he want to just take a fast third base himself? You know, and a lot of it will come down to what he makes here initially out of these gateways, and he starts to open a sentry to follow this up, this initial stalker. So already looking to get some force fields out and to start building that energy, and that could lead towards sort of a kind of, you know, an 8-minute-ish push with a few sentries, with you know, force fields built up on them. A lot of potential here to maybe be aggressive if he wants to.
I really just want to see a tech choice come out of StrinterN here. You know, so far he's added on a sentry, which doesn't really indicate anything. He's still banking up a lot of gas, so this. I feel Robo is the most logical choice here, because it gives the products just so much more options along with sentries, you know, to go for a bit of an immortal sentry push, which is still something that Jona definitely, you know, has to be very careful of. Like he has Zergling speed, and he can transition into a Hydraling composition, which is very flexible and good in the mid game. Jona is getting a good scout off though. He sees 2 gates, and he's sending in his Overlord, which is currently uncontested, and he spots a forge being built, and he sees no additional gates. So he knows that there is no real serious aggression coming up very soon.
This is going to be the most straight up standard free base Protoss build there is, basically, unless he really throws a spanner in the works here. This is just going to be Twilight Council going down, once the +1's halfway done, head into Blink and +2, take the third base behind it, and in fact we already have the probe moving into position to start setting up that third base. And it's a good time to start doing it, because as the forge finishes you can start getting that cannon set up. So StrinterN just going to play the straight up game here, 3 bases on the way up, and again, Blink +2, a lot of Stalkers and those early sentries with a lot of force fields is a perfect combination to be able to defend that third base. And right now, Jona, not really doing anything to kind of move out and to deny this or be too aggressive.
Oh, I was really waiting for StrinterN to make a move. Like he was banking 400 gas, and I'm like sitting there like thinking, like, dude, what are you doing with your money? Then he warps in 3 sentries and gets +1 attack. So yeah, he's definitely aiming for some sort of a more mid-game type army. But it's still, for me, it feels always a bit scary when you see Protoss just relaxing. He did get a nicely timed third base though, so he's not, you know, going to be massively behind against the Zerg, I feel. But Jona is just getting all the space he needs. Like, he's getting a Hydroden and Infestation Pit. He might actually go for like a quick hive with Vipers.
The Infestation Pit is crazy early here. I mean, usually what you will see, the Hydroden makes sense because it's going to be kind of a Ling Hydra composition.
Exactly.
But the Infestation Pit this early on, this is going to be kind of a mega fast hive, or maybe he adds a couple Infestors in.
Yeah, and it hasn't been spotted yet.
No.
Protoss is not aware of this. And yeah, we see Hydras as well as the upgrades for the Hydras immediately coming out. So Jona definitely has chosen his tech lab. I wish he would focus a bit more on his group spread though. Like, I suppose he's not anticipating any aggression, but he still hasn't really, you know, worked that much on his group spread. He's sending out links across the map, and he saw, at least he should have seen with that Overlord, that's this small move out from StrinterN. Yeah, he spots it now with the Ling in the middle. So he might go for a run by into the third and try to snipe some probes.
Yeah, he's got all of them Lings over to the right-hand side. He's going to start moving forwards with them. There's nothing really here to defend. The sentry's out on the map. I mean, a cannon's not going to kill all these Lings fast enough, though. And there's a lot of probes
already falling. Is he going to focus? No, he's not really microing here. Needs to get those functions. Oh, the recall is actually coming down. Ooh, oh, but he's losing sentries left or right.
He just lost like 3-4 sentries maybe.
Most of the Lings escape. Oh, yeah, okay, they do. Wow, so this was a massive win here for Jona.
I mean, 7 workers, number like 3 sentries killed. That's fantastic for him. I mean, it's worth losing the majority of those Zerglings for. They did the damage they needed to do. They forced the Protoss player back onto his own side of the map. And now StrinterN is in a weird position where he doesn't actually have that many force fields, so he can't move out. And also defensively, he's not going to be in a great position either. A couple more Zerglings are somewhere picking off probes or so.
I'm so surprised at the tech choice of StrinterN. Like, this is, I believe, a more common build than it used to be. But +2, Blink, Alpha 3 base, perhaps with Archon support. It is a build that can be very deadly against an unprepared Zerg. That's why, you know, for example, would really like Jona to really work on his creep spread more, because it seems like he's just, if he's not prepared, he's going to take so much damage. High Tempo is being warped in, all the upgrades being added on for Jona, and he's finally getting a 4th base. I really wish he would have taken that earlier.
The Templar Archives is a lot earlier in this game for StrinterN than usual. And he's getting Storm too, which is what I'm actually most surprised about. Because the Templar Archive is super early makes sense, because it's a response to the super early Hive.
Yeah.
But the Storm is something, I feel as though he's making it because he's like, I've just lost all my sentries. I just need something. Because generally, you know, Sentry Stalker is going to be okay against this army for a little while, with that +2 and with that Blink. But now he's lost all of those sentries. He doesn't have those force fields, so he needs something a little bit different. He's going to try and go for storms here. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of up to Jona because, you know, you can land great storms, but if the Zerg just splits away, responds quickly, it's, you know, they're not going to be enough, I don't think. So this is going to be very, very interesting, a very different CVP. And of course, Vipers are already on the map as well to land a couple blinding clouds.
Jona should be aware that there are Templar. He still has an Overlord at the natural of StrinterN getting good vision on the high Templar count. So you should definitely be aware of you know, what's going on and just what the composition of his opponent is. At the same time, like you mentioned, I really feel the ball is in Jona's court. He's not that far ahead on upgrades. Ooh, the Hallucinated Phoenix spots the army. So this should really, you know, call for StrinterN to, you know, to reposition his army. For StrinterN, the storms are just going to be incredibly crucial. Like, he needs to land perfect storms if he wins this. There are Vipers, but I'm not sure what their function will be besides Blinding Cloud.
Yeah, Blinding Cloud's going to be very good though, forcing those units to move forwards, and you can see he's just going to completely zone these units out. And now, I mean, yeah, a couple of storms land, but StrinterN can't move towards his natural, and a lot of units moving up there. He wasn't in a good position to
Jona needs
defend
to not
this.
overextend. Nice feedback on the Vipers. One Blinding Cloud does go up, and the units underneath don't do anything. And Jona is actually winning this fight with only half his army.
The other half of the army is killing the natural expansion. Jona is just so far ahead from that early run by. StrinterN, he tried to make something happen here, but it just wasn't enough. The storms don't do enough.
Wow. Natural has been destroyed. GG. A complete strengthening here by Jona, showing the power of when you go 3-base Zerg this early, unpunished, and then the Protoss just goes for this sort of mid-tier composition, and you hit him before he finally manages to really, you know, buff up his army, and that was just completely one-sided, that final fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything went Jona's way, you know. Then Protoss units were moving through the middle of the map. He counterattacks at a perfect time. He gets a good amount of damage, and he pulls the Protoss army back. He kills sentries on top of that as well. Nothing was going StrinterN's way. He never got into his groove this game, despite going for what's a very standard, you know, Protoss build. He got completely put off, and Jona just played it out perfectly once he gained that advantage.
Exactly. Yeah, let's get into the lobby for the next game. But what's also very interesting is that I really wonder what StrinterN's real plan was. Like, did he go for a third Nexus after spawning the third hatch, like as a response, or is this just the way he feels to play, like he feels comfortable playing? Because it didn't just really work out. Like, you know, you're going to be up against a Hydra Roach composition at least in the mid game against a Zerg, you know, and adding on Vipers was just icing on the cake.
Yeah, I think that, again, losing the sentries is the real defining factor in that game, because without the force fields, your stalkers, etc., are not going to do anything useful.
Yeah.
You know, you need them force fields to split up the army. That is your mid-game power. And then you slowly add in that later tech, unless you kind of massive gateways and go for one big attack, but that still is very reliant on the force field. So losing 4 or 5 sentries, it's, you know, it completely changes the game plan, and again, it's not what he was building up to deal with.
Yeah, he got really unlucky with the recall as well. Like, I'm not sure what determines the position of the army when they recall on top of the Nexus. I think it's their position relative to the Mothership Core, but I've never really, you know, experimented with it. But those sentries, they got recalled right on top of the sentries, and all the sentries had to do was like, well, I'm just going to beat this sentry to death until it explodes. So Jona got, well, I wouldn't say he got lucky. He kind of forced his opponent to make a decision that ended up just not working out.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, because I wonder if he, you know, StrinterN, I mean, obviously he doesn't really know, and it would have been a risk, but I wonder if he could have just kept moving forwards and maybe trying to get some damage done himself.
It was still a very threatening force.
Yeah, it's still a scary army, but it's such a risk to take, and I think it's probably the safer choice to go back home, but in the end, of course, it didn't work out at all for him. So
No. Yeah, it's always like, if his response might have been a bit earlier, it might have had a different outcome. But yeah, it was just a bit too late for that. It's interesting though, because as Protoss, you can usually move out safely onto the map when you have recall. But in this case, he still lost a lot of sentries. So I'm not sure how StrinterN feels about life. Like, maybe he's just like, oh, I got unlucky. Maybe I just made a tough, you know, the wrong mistake. I'm not sure. You know, let's for now just take a quick look at the brackets and see where we are in the tournament, because we're just waiting for Jona to get into his place. We see that uThermal already managed to qualify for the next day, so good. Yeah, well played by him. It was very convincing 2-0-2-0. Namshar, of course, beat Jona and will be the opponent of whoever wins this match. And currently Jona's up 1-0 against StrinterN, and I really wonder how StrinterN is feeling right now.
yeah, he must be under a little bit of pressure. I mean, he hasn't won a map at all here today. He said he hadn't had the best of practice coming into this, because he's been busy with school or university and stuff.
True.
So
It's tough. It's a tough time of year for people who are studying to play StarCraft as well, man.
It's always rough combination.
Yeah, but he's making the most of it, I'm sure, and he just needs to kind of compose himself a little bit here. It's going to be Cactus Valley, though, which is going to be a very interesting sort of map to play this on, because generally, you would say, generally I feel this is a fairly good map for Zerg. It's not dreadful for Protoss. The free bases, again, you can get up to nicely, but it's a very large map, and that generally will favor the Zerg player, being able to take the bases. But of course, the Protoss player can counteract that with the War Prism play, etc. as well.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get inside this game and see how this is actually going to play out. We have StrinterN against Jona. Jona, of course, being the local favorite in this match, really wants to, win a DSCL title, I feel, because he's been playing in the DSCL for a long while. But always seems to get shut down sort of halfway in the final rounds. And I really wonder if he's going to make, he's going to make it to the finals this time. He's not the only good Dutch Zerg, and yeah, here we have him looking for that forward towards that win.
We spawn into Cactus Valley. Wyman, take us away.
Indeed, we have in the bottom left of Cactus Valley, we have the green Protoss from Team Carnage Esports. He is StrinterN.
Down to the bottom right-hand corner of the map.
Clicking very fast.
Clicking away. There we go. He's back. From AT Gaming, it's Jona.
Those weren't actually Jona's hands, by the way. I think those were
Yeah.
StrinterN's. I wasn't quite sure, but it was well timed. All right, so Cactus Valley, you mentioned big map, 4-player. We see Jona already scouting in the correct direction with his Overlord, so that's definitely a small win for him. Getting the correct scout, seeing what his opponents are going to be up to as soon as possible. And this might really throw a bit of a wrench in StrinterN's plan, because when you're on a 4-player map as a Protoss, you might be inclined to go for a Gateway Expand or a Nexus first. And if Jona spots that, he might once again go for something like a free edge before pool, knowing that he's perfectly safe.
Yeah, definitely. What I think is most notable about these spawning positions, particularly the horizontal spawns, is that it probably will favor StrinterN a little bit more. If this was cross-map, the walk distance across the map is huge. And of course, once you start warping in units, etc., that doesn't matter. But initially getting across the map would take that a little bit longer. Both players are going to open with Hatch/Nexus first.
Yeah. Wow.
Which isn't surprising at all.
It's not surprising at all, but it's more about the gathering of information. StrinterN, fortunately for him, will actually scout in the correct direction as well. So he will be able to spot what Jona's up to. And it looks like Jona is actually going to go for a free edge before pool again blindly. So this time StrinterN will, I think, maybe have a bit more time to think about what he really wants to do in response, because what he did in the previous game just didn't really work out.
Yeah, he's going to hide this probe behind the middle line, but, I mean, okay, he's going to build a pylon, but, I mean, this hasn't really got any, there's no threat behind this. It's
there's nothing behind it.
Yeah, he's just trying to force Jona to, react, but Jona's already in the main base. He already sees the pylon, sees the gateway, so he's not worried. He doesn't even pull a single drone down there, and, StrinterN just cancels that and goes into the main base to continue scouting and sees that pool coming down late. And
no gas.
Yeah, knows exactly what he's up against. So, I mean, nice probe scout. Back at home, double gas on the way for himself, which already eliminates a couple of different builds. One gas you could go for a very aggressive kind of 5 gateway sort of thing and just warp in mass zealots and hope.
Oh yeah, that's always an option.
But yeah, with double gas, it looks as though he's just going to follow this up fairly standard for the time being.
What would be really cool if StrinterN would be like, oh, okay, so you're going 3 hatch, I'll go 3 nexus, because I see you don't even have a spawning pool. I've never seen it happen, and especially on these positions, I would not recommend it. But it would be cool to see, though.
Yeah, the problem is, though, I mean, even if you just go, even if you delay the spawn pool, the way the lava mechanic works, you all of a sudden you just make 20 lings move across the map, and the pros is like, this game's broken.
I can't do anything. Stupid Zerg.
It's not very often the pros complains about the Zerg, is it?
No.
Oh dear. All right, StrinterN just heading back home with his probe, but he is actually going to send his zealot out. So this is kind of a reaction to that free hatch before pool. He's going to send out the early zealot. He's got a stalker on the way as well, which you wouldn't be surprised to see coming across the map too.
There's going to be queens.
Yeah, it's still kind of nice though, and I mean, with the stalker combined, he might be able to get a little bit of damage done. I'd be surprised if he really killed anything though. But just, I think more than anything, it just forces a couple of Zerglings and their 6 lings, and that could be free drones. So
that's excellent. For StrinterN, just forcing that out of Jona. of course, you have to commend Jona a bit also for having that state of mind and seeing like, okay, there's a Zealot on the way. There might be pressure followed up. I'm 1-0 ahead. I'm not going to take a risk. I'm just going to grab a couple of additional links. And one of the main advantages of having links out on the map, even without... Oh, he gets a surround on the Zealot, actually. He's going to kill it. Yes, he will. Nice. That's a great pickup for Jona.
Yeah, that's nice. It really slows down the kind of follow-up aggression, which was going to be the Stalker joining it. So
now the Stalker is forced to retreat, so this really shuts down the early aggression from StrinterN.
2 extra gates come up, and we'll start to see the gas taken out of the natural as well. So I kind of feel this is just going to be a forge once again for StrinterN in the near future. And probably again move towards that third base, I feel. I don't think he's going to kind of risk anything on 2 bases here at all. I think he's just going to go up to that 3 base, and there is that forge.
This is cute, but it's not going to work. Oh, actually, is StrinterN paying attention here?
Yeah, he will.
Okay, he will. Okay, I think he killed like 1 Zergling, but that's worth a force field for Jona. I would definitely say I'd happily trade 1 Zergling per force field.
Yeah, I mean, he made these lings, may as well use them for something.
Yeah.
I mean, of course they could be. I mean, he's actually got pretty good vision, so he's not really too worried about kind of proxy pounds or anything on the map.
He's got great vision, by the way.
Yeah, he's got fantastic vision. He sees pretty much everything, and he's in the main base too.
Yeah, he's got an overlord in the main base, which is now being taken out by a Stalker. It's going to see pretty much everything. He sees the forge being chrono boosted, and that kind of tells the whole story. And yes, this other overlord also spots the third base, so Jona knows exactly what is going on. It is exactly the same thing as in the previous game, but keep in mind the third is further away from the natural than on Coda, so StrinterN will have an even harder time holding onto this base against the Roach Hydra-based attack.
Jona's going to change things up ever so slightly from what he was going for in that first game. He's Roach Roar, and he skipped speed, so it's not going to be Link Hydra. And yeah, Roach Roar on the way, so just primarily Roaches for now. I mean, we probably will expect to see the Hydra then come down, because Roaches on their own just is kind of asking to die.
Yeah.
So we'll see something additional come in from Jona, I'm sure. But for now, just that Roach Roar, and again, just a slightly different way to get in towards the mid-game, essentially, or to enter the mid-game.
I'm still surprised, like we saw this in the previous game, how far StrinterN delays his attack. I mean, his tech. Like, he doesn't... He went for Templar initially. Okay, now he's getting a Robo. That's exactly what I was waiting for. He's building a Robo Bay inside his own base, meaning he will be able to go up to Immortals, which is the correct choice. You know, there's a Roach Warren. He's going to scout that for sure. He should also have seen the Infestation Pit. I'm not sure if he actually clicked on it. But once again, Roach's Infestation Pit, it's going to be a different fight this time. At least it should be.
Jona cancels the Infestation, but he's going for a burrow on these Roaches, so he's going to go for kind of a burrow Roach attack.
Wow.
And this might catch StrinterN off guard, because what he's going to be preparing for is potentially that Hive once again.
Yes.
And not so much a mass of Roaches, which is what this very much could be right now. Some Ling's not really getting too much done.
There's still no Link speed. Like, it looks like he's just not intending to get it at all. So this should sort of tip off StrinterN and saying like, hey, the composition is going to be a bit different this time. Force Field's cut the Roach army in half, and Jona losing. Oh, he's actually focusing down the sentries. That's a nice job, but not a very worthy trade at this point, I would say. And he's still getting a Hydra, and now he's adding on the Infestation Pit.
That burrow upgrade is going to complete, but he doesn't actually have tunneling claws, so you can't burrow movement right now as nice force field.
Oh,
perfect
gets on top of the sentries.
Yeah, he needs to keep those alive, as many of them as possible, and he's going to lose quite a few here. He's already lost a lot of energy just force fielding. Nice burrows there, but there's an observer on the way out, so they will be dealt with momentarily. Yeah,
there's cannons everywhere as well, so vision shouldn't really be the problem here for StrinterN. If he can keep holding this off, he should be able to do well. But Jona is really shoving forward now. There's a photon offshore being popped. I'm not sure if he should commit to this. Okay, nice job turning around, trying to kill some of the sentries and the stalkers, but StrinterN so far is dealing with this quite nicely. Oh, but there's nothing in the main.
Yeah, he's going to be able to warp in a few units though in a couple of moments, I believe, maybe soon. He's still attacking towards the third base as well, just trying to push forward with these Roaches, but time warp and a force field will turn those away. 10 workers killed here in the main base, and that burrow just going to continue to be annoying here. So again, without another observer
he's starting to run out of force fields at the third. So these Roaches will still simply just be able to go on top of these stalkers and just, you know, beat them to death. Hydra's being added on right now, and I really like the way Jona's handling this. Like, he's got burrowed Roaches in the main. He's really pulling StrinterN apart, and StrinterN, you know, he's running out of force fields. His upgrades are still not, you know, at the point where they used to be. He's finally getting Immortals, but once Hydras hit the field, it might not be that great.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting scenario, because Jona really has actually done quite a lot of damage just with these Roaches. He's forced more sentries to be warped in for kind of additional force fields. Tunneling claws is now finished. These Roaches have burrow movement. We see a couple moving in towards the natural, as at the same time the third base under attack.
Oh, he shows burrow.
Yeah, he shows it, but I mean, he's just, yeah, I mean, just little by little, Jona just picking away at StrinterN here, and more workers down in the natural.
Yeah, StrinterN, like, he's really being pulled apart on all sides. Okay, he's finally sitting in the Immortal to take care of these roaches, and as we all know, roaches are not so good versus Immortals.
Oh, force fields to the third
really
base.
go flying.
Force fields went down to the third base, but Jona just burrows and retreats out of there, keeping some more roaches alive, and he's got so much money in the bank. He actually doesn't have enough gas yet. His fourth base is not up just yet, and when it does come up, he really will want to get those gases going.
And now again, the Viper's being added on. Jona actually adding on a macro hatch right now in his main. +2 is still far away from completed for StrinterN, but Jona is really starting to approach max capacity on the supply. And once he hits max, he's going to go for it.
These Vipers are going to be pretty scary. No Templar Archives just yet, and it's something which StrinterN really does have to prepare for with that, and there it is going down. So he's going to have the feedbacks available, but does he hit them? He's going to have to try and hit them before the abducts go down on the Immortals, and even if he hits them afterwards, I mean, at least he'll still be able to deny the blind clouds. This is a nice find by
yeah, this is a very nice pickup. Going to find some Stalkers, blink away the herd Stalkers, and you know, this is a nice micro battle between the two. Jona does manage to grab a kill or two. Actually managed to escape with 2 of the roaches because the observer wasn't moving with them. Yeah, so StrinterN has sort of stabilized, but these Immortals are just going to be so important. Like, he has to keep these alive against the Vipers, prevent them from being pulled, but it's really, it's not easy.
With the number of Hydras here, I wonder if he maybe just drops the blinding clouds on the army and doesn't worry too much about the abducts, because he doesn't have that much energy on the Vipers here. He didn't, you know, get them up to full energy before coming across, but he does have 3, so there's a lot of potential here, and right now Jona is just opening up the map a little bit, opening up a slightly faster attack path down towards this third base, and StrinterN's out of position. He's not ready for this.
Not at all. There's only 1 Templar, so not many feedbacks available yet. Jona finally getting in position, is right on top of the third base already, sort of splitting up his army. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. Okay, he's getting the Hydras in position. He's getting his first blinding cloud ready, and here we go. Stalkers move forward, getting blinding clouded on, and Jona's in a really good position here.
Nice abduct on that Immortal, the second Immortal as well. 2 of them going down very quickly there. And StrinterN just doesn't really seem to have the firepower to deal with this army. Throwing overcharges down, but he's slowly losing workers. He does have Zealots on the other side of the map with a Warp Prism, but he's working away on a macro hatchery, which is kind of the least important thing to pick off in that main base.
Yeah, that's really not going to be helping him. And there's already roach reinforcement here ready to clean it up. The Queen should be able to pick off the Warp Prism. It's actually already evacuating the rest of the units. And still a ton of Hydras in the natural. But he's finally beating this back, and he blinks on top of the Hydras. And StrinterN holds.
He holds, but the damage he's taking is huge. He'll kill off the rest of these Hydras, which is nice, but the Hydras were there. They were dealing so much DPS for so long. They've picked off so many Stalkers and Sentries, and I mean, the resources lost is actually in favor of the Zerg player right now, which is actually kind of ridiculous. Wow, so Jona just going to remax here. He's just going to go again. Did he keep his Vipers alive? He kept 2 of them alive, which is really nice again, so he doesn't have to remake them.
They're hidden in a part of the map that I almost cannot see. That's quite interesting.
Oh, where are they? Oh, right, they're right on the edge.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so Jona's poised, you know, positioning for another fight. I don't think he should take this. There's too many force fields and Immortals to take care of his roaches.
He doesn't have his whole army.
Yeah, he needs support of his Hydras and his Vipers in order to win this fight. Like, StrinterN is not dead by any means, but he doesn't really, you know, what would be his game-winning move in this series? There's really nothing he can do.
He needs to fight half of the army at a time, and he really needs to win kind of 2 fights successively, kind of very convincingly as well. But it's not happening because Jona's attacking perfectly at the same time.
Focus the third.
Yeah, third going down. I mean,
Storm on top of the Hydras doing a lot of damage here, but not really killing anything. Decent force fields here, and looks like the right side of Jona's army might be cleaned up. There's still Immortals doing so much damage, but the Hydras are focusing down these Immortals, doing a very good job. But the third has been completely ransacked here by the Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, without a third base, it's going to be very difficult for StrinterN to come back in this. I mean, it was kind of difficult before. He kind of needed some really good fights, and that wasn't the really good fights he needed. He needed to keep his third alive. He needed to pick off a lot of them units convincingly, but he just didn't. And now, again, Jona's just going to keep on rebuilding Roach, Hydra, and, well, once he deals with these Zealots in the main base, he'll be pretty much good to attack once again. StrinterN is just struggling to rebuild his third.
Yeah, Jona hasn't had a lot of difficulty with defending against his Warp Prism. Usually that's one of the nastier forms of harassment you see, but he's been able to deal with it quite well. He doesn't have like any flying units, so this Warp Prism is still alive and it's still warping in Zealots. But you know, he has Spines in the third, he's got Hydras in the main defending. Doing an excellent job at really shutting down StrinterN, who's now desperately trying to rebuild his third and stay in this game and stay in this tournament.
And Vipers are still up to that kind of weird position on the left side of the map, and He does know they're there. He's selecting them, so he knows he's got them. As they would have maybe been useful in his main base to abduct that warp prism into some Hydras. Either way, just a single zealot warping in for StrinterN, now a second one. But
yeah,
Yona's on the map.
What's
again.
interesting is that he does have them hotkeyed. He has them in hotkey 1,
Yeah.
but he isn't really doing anything with them so far. You should really bring him into this fight, to close out this game. There's 4 Immortals, so before he marches in with his roaches, he needs to do something about it, but no. Okay, now he's moving the Vipers, but he's in a bit of a different position. Great storm here on top of the roaches and the Hydras, temporarily keeping his army from moving, but
He has one more storm and it needs to be fantastic, and well, hitting that small clump of units isn't quite going to be enough, I don't think. As these odds are still doing some work here and there, though. Yona's third base has been ransacked a little bit, and he is taking some damage, but he's taking a big fight over towards the third base once again. And
where are
can
the
he break through?
Vipers? Vipers are not with this fight, and that's actually making a huge difference, because now the Immortals deal so much damage, but the Hydras are still alive, and these Stalkers are trying to take care of them, but the Hydras are just doing so much damage in this fight. They're being surrounded by the Stalkers, more Stalkers being warped in, but this pylon cancels this warp in, and oh man, Jona, is he gonna take it, or is StrinterN gonna hold once again?
Jona just had such an advantage going into these last couple of fights that even though they've not been the best fight engagements from him, they've still been, good enough to just keep trading. And, again, losing that third base for StrinterN means he's really struggling to kind of stay in this. And
here come the reinforcements for Jona. It's not really everything, but it's enough. It's GG. Jona takes out StrinterN, who is now unfortunately the first player to go out of the Dutch StarCraft League Open 2015 finals. But Jona must be very relieved in this situation. He gets the fight on. He gets to play in, I believe, the next series again, to see who gets the advance to tomorrow.
Yeah, man, he gets that rematch against Namshar. And of course, the rematch is always a very funny thing. You get to, you get to think about what happened in the first series. You get to make, fix your mistakes and look at it in a different light. So, real opportunity for Jona to maybe come back from that 2-0 and fight back tomorrow.
All right. I think we're going to be heading over for a small giveaway to Frank. He's got some sweet stuff to give away. Yeah, he seems very
He's happy, man.
Definitely.
He's excited.
All right, guys, take it to Frank.